I could subjugate him, but that probably wouldn't be very good idea. Gets better. Occupies itself.
Eyes down. You shall not look up. I serve the Dark Prince. Debauchery beckons.
The air is full of pinpricks.
I'm not angry with women. At the end of the day, they're just acting on their biology. You know, the best possible genetics for the offspring they may have. It's definitely going to happen with a sub-3, subhuman looking guy like them. You know, I don't hate women for that. I still love and respect women, but at the end of the day, they've got to, they're just acting on their biology. No bulldog. Looks, your looks as a man are critically important to your dating success or failure. Critically important. But of course, you being a PUA grifter, you're going to downplay the importance of looks because you want to sell courses and boot camps. Yeah, anyway.
This kind of smoking gun evidence that shows you that this is not the case, because...
No, it's not smoking gun evidence. You're going on a cock and bull story made up by a woman who did actually sleep with the Chad. But once again, Chad did not commit to her, so she's angry and she goes on TikTok and makes a stupid, childish video. Falsely claimed that she rejected this guy just because he said women weren't fun. No, I'm not buying that story at all. The city doesn't pass the smell test. They hooked up, Chad didn't want to commit to her, and she's pissed off. That's the real story.
Believe me, you would think, and most guys would think, that if a woman thought that you were the most attractive guy she'd ever seen in her life, would you think that you're going to get laid? Probably.
Definitely. Captain Obvious. Another breaking news. Scientists have discovered that water is wet and fire is hot. Yeah, that's how male-female intimate relationships work as a man. And this is the view that we all share in the DP community. In order to get genuine sexual, physical attraction for a woman, she has to find you physically attractive. I'm sorry, there's just no other way around it. So if a woman does find you physically attractive, yeah, she'll want to get laid with you. That's just Captain Obvious.
Would you think that she would want to date you more than one time? Probably, right? Would you think that there's very little that you could do to screw it up? I mean, you could probably be an asshole, you could probably be rude, you could probably do whatever, but it doesn't matter because you're Chad.
Well, it's amazing what Chad could get away with. You know, it obviously comes back to the halo effect, and for those who don't know what the halo effect is, what is it? It's a perceived bias or perceived positive bias towards people who are good looking. You know, when someone sees an attractive person, they by default assume they're a good person, they've got a good sense of humour. It's not always the case. I mean, you can be a good-looking person and be a complete arsehole. But humans are very visual creatures, and with the halo effect, yeah, it's basically just a perceived positive bias with attractive people. You assume that because they're good-looking, everything else is good about them. That's not always the case. But anyway.
Sorry, Chad. It's not going to work that way. You can have all the looks in the world, but if you don't have game, if you cannot talk to a woman, if you don't have...
Game doesn't exist, Bulldog. It simply doesn't exist. Look, the only way a good-looking guy could stuff it up, and this could potentially happen, if a good-looking guy, say, he attracts someone with his looks and he starts acting like a creep and a weirdo, yes, then he could repel a woman. I'll give you a classic example. In the 1970s, there was this very, very evil, horrible man called Dechala. I think he was a serial killer. I think they found 5 of his victims. Yeah, horrible, evil man. Very evil, wicked man. And he took the lives of 5 innocent women. Yeah, terrible, shocking, absolutely shocking. And what made this guy, well, I'm not going to say famous, infamous, he appeared on one of those dating shows, and was one of those dating shows where you had 3 guys, there was a divide, there was a petition or a wall, and there was a lady, and the lady asked these guys questions. Now, when the lady was speaking with Rodney Akala, he was just really weird. The way he talked was just creepy. I mean, he didn't look creepy. He was a pretty good-looking dude, but the way he spoke, he was just creepy. Fortunately, the woman that was talking to him, her tuition kicked in. She sensed there's something wrong with this guy, and didn't go on a date with him. She probably ended up saving her life because she potentially could have been one of his victims, and thankfully she wasn't. Thank God. Yeah. So in that instance, if you're a good-looking dude and you start acting like real creepy and weird, you could repel a woman. But generally speaking, most good-looking guys don't act like that. They don't act. Anyway.
Have confidence. If you cannot entertain a woman, if you're not going to be humorous, if she doesn't buy into your masculine frame and see you as a sexually attractive man beyond your physical appearance, it's over for you. It's game over. Now,
no, it's not over. Yeah, as I said before, the only way a good-looking guy can stuff up an interaction with a woman is if he starts acting creepy. But most good-looking guys don't act that way, unless he's got some severe mental issue or he's an evil bastard. Unless he's a serial killer or something. But most good-looking guys are Chads and Tyrants. They know how to talk to and interact with women. It's the ugly guys it's over for. Guys like me, for them, like, my dating life is definitely over. But it doesn't matter because I quit on dating. When did I quit? 13 years ago, yeah.
If you don't believe me about this, let me show you one more. I thought this was pretty funny.
It's a true story. One day I walked into my job and there was a security guard sitting at the front desk and he looked like this. I'm not kidding though. He looked like this. I forgot my key card that day and he looks at me and he goes, "Did you forget your key card?" But he said it in like a southern drawl, like the way Bradley Cooper says, like, "I just want to take another look at you." He was like, "Did you forget your key card?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm fucked mentally right now actually because of how you look." I get into work, I run up to my manager, I go, "There's a security guard that I've never seen in my 4 years working here who looks like Charlie Hunnam." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Is this not news in the building?" I'm like, "Go stare at him, find out what his name says on his name tag so I can fucking stalk this guy." She looks at him, she comes back and finds me at my bar and she's like, "Okay, I saw him. His name is Matt. Look him up on like Workplace. Like, you know, your little like, it's like speaking, okay, tomorrow when I come into work, I'm gonna be looking fucking stunning, whatever." Come into work, he's not there. He's not there for another like month and a half. Like, I don't see him. I mean, I work at a stadium. Ship's passing in the wind situation. Anyway, whatever. I'm like, okay, I guess he doesn't work here anymore. One day my manager comes up to me and he's like, "Did you see Matt at the staff end?" I was a cartoon character. I was like, down there, I'm in my fucking uniform, name tag, like collared shirt, loser. And I'm like, "Hi." He's like, "Hi, like, do I know you?" "Of course you don't know me. I'm obsessed with you from our one interaction. I am one of several women that work here." So I chat with him a bit and he's like, "Why are we having this conversation?" Probably. And then I walk away and then I'm like, I'm gonna message him on Workplace. And I don't know what I said. It was something like, "We should grab a drink." Like, whatever. Just fuckboy behavior on my part. He never responds. He actually still hasn't responded. It's been 6 years. But this, I see him at work one day and now I'm embarrassed because he hasn't responded to my Workplace message, which is already fucking pathetic of me. Go to a bar that night. He's the fucking security guard at the bar. So now I say to my friends, I'm like, "That's the guy. Look at him." Remind you, this was him. It might as well have been him. It might have been him. Friends are like, "What the fuck?" But then one of my friends goes, "Is he cross-eyed?" And I'm like, "No, he's not cross-eyed." And she's like, "Something's going on with his eyes." Go up to him and I strike a conversation. I'm like, "I work with you at the stadium and I sent you a message on Workplace and you never responded." He's like, "Workplace? Who the fuck messages people? I don't check Workplace. I don't have that on my phone." I'm like, "Well, I asked you if you wanted to get drinks." And he was like, "Oh, okay." I'm talking to him. I am noticing something going on with his eyes, but I'm like, "What the fuck?" Sorry. It's so funny when I get to the punchline. We chat for a little bit and now I have more confidence because I'm like, okay, now you've seen me like sexy out at a bar. I say sexy. I have no clue how I looked that night actually. Probably wearing a circle skirt from American Apparel. But I came through the staff entrance to work a couple days after that and he hadn't messaged me back on Workplace. So I was like, fuck this guy. Like, I told you I messaged you on Workplace. Fucking download it. Do you want to get laid or not, buddy? This is when you look like this isn't a problem for you. But wait, walking in through work and he starts chatting with me and I'm like, "Hey, how was your weekend? Good, you?" And I'm looking at his eye. I've never seen this before. Okay. And I'm sorry if you have this. I've never seen it. Okay, see how you can see the white above and below my eyes? His eyes were like that, but normal. Like, what I'm saying is his iris was so small that they looked weird. Like, his eyes were a normal size, but his irises and pupils were really small. Like, the whites were available for my looking pleasure. And I was like, holy fuck, what's going on with that? Anyway, I tell my mom, security guard, she's like, "First of all, don't date security guards because they have inferiority complexes." Okay, that's just my mom's opinion. Not all security guards, not all men. Secondly, if you can see the whites above and below an eye, that's psycho. That's a psychopath. I'm like, "You're being ridiculous and I'm being shallow. Like, what, am I actually not gonna rail this guy that looks like Jack because he has small irises? Like, what's wrong with me?" The more I saw him at work, the more it really bugged me. I was like, this is actually crazy. Like, if we're having sex, you don't know where he's looking, by the way. Like, his eyes, I just can't even explain it to my roommate one day. And I'm like, am I so shallow? Like, I feel like this eye thing might be a deal breaker for me. Like, it's crazy. They're so small. She's like, "Show me." So I go on his Facebook. Guess what? We didn't even get to looking at his eyes because he was in so many incel Facebook group.
Now, that doesn't pass the smell test. Why would this guy, a good-looking guy, I mean, he's probably a Chad light, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, women are the ultimate judges of male attractiveness, not other men. Why would a guy like that be participating on an inkwell board or incel board? That doesn't make any sense. Guys like that wouldn't need to because they're getting laid. No, sorry, that doesn't pass the smell test with me. That's bullshit. No, good-looking guys wouldn't need to post on inkwell boards. Nah, sorry. No.
Active commenter. Actually had a comment that was like, "Women are not funny." Fuck. If you're in the dating scene right now, look out for a few things. These are some red flags I noticed. 1, little eye. 2, maybe security guards. I don't know. Maybe my mom was right. I'm kidding. All the security guards at my work now are very. 3, something weird about an active user commenting on anything, especially an incel. An incel was obvious, but I thought it was even more kind of cringe.
How can that doesn't? That's ridiculous. Why would a good-looking guy be posting on an incel board? No, that's rubbish. That's rubbish. Usually the guys who post on inkwell boards are guys like me. You know, your sub-3s and your sub-4s. I mean, no, this lady's not making any sense. I think the deal with this lady is she sent him a message. The guy's rejected her and she's pissed off and she's lashing out, making this video accusing this guy of being an inkwell. No, I just think this lady's just pissed off that Chad rejected her, and she's making up this cock and bull story that he's an inkwell, which is ridiculous. Inkwells don't post on. Sorry, not inkwells. Sorry, Chads and Tyrones and whatever, or any type of good-looking guy. They're not going to be wasting their time posting on inkwell board because they're out getting laid. I admit I used to post on inkwell boards. I still do to a certain degree, but that's because I'm an inkwell and I do get laid, but I have to pay to play.
That he was an active incel. Like, to have incel ideologies is one. Commenting with your real name, it's like, you don't give a fuck. Even if it wasn't incel, even if it was like bodybuilding group, or like, why was that the example? Like, sort of negative comment. Like, if he was commenting on a random girl's photo was like ugly, I'd be like, you're fucking crazy. How was the point of this story? I don't know. Did it help you? Or judge a book by its cover because that cover might be hiding an incel with little eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I rest my case here, but amazing.
No, you haven't rested your case. Once again, it's another cock and bull story from a woman. I'm sorry, there's something about that woman's story that doesn't make that. Excuse me, that just doesn't make any logical sense. Excuse me, sorry, guys. Why would a good-looking guy be posting on an inkwell board? No, that makes no sense at all. As I said before, I think the real story with this woman is that she sent a message to this Chad. Chad rejected her. Well, he didn't even reply to her message. He just rejected her, and she's pissed off about it. And she's just like with the previous lady, she's making a very childish video complaining that Chad rejected it by claiming that he's an inkwell and he posts on inkwell boards. No, this makes no sense at all.
So just a couple of observations here, right? Just to understand here. And again, I use 2 examples here. I mean, I just happen to find both these examples on the same day within 20 minutes. So I bet I could find 100 examples of this on TikTok if I kept.
Oh, TikTok. I think the best definition of TikTok is it's a place where intelligence goes to die. Yeah, you kind of if you want to destroy your brain cells, just go on TikTok. Because like I said before, it's the place where intelligence goes to die. But one thing I will say about TikTok, though, there's some really smoking hot women. If you want to find some really beautiful, if you want to check out some really beautiful women, go on TikTok. Oh, there's some real stunners on there. But seriously though, with TikTok, I mean, it's just mainly women complaining about men. But I think the reality is when women go on TikTok to complain about men, what they're basically saying is that they've had a hook up with a Chad. Chad doesn't want to commit to them, so these women go on TikTok and say, "Oh, men are bastards, all men are pigs." No, not all men are bastards. There are good, decent men out there, but you're not attracted to them. You're only attracted to that top 5 to 10% of guys in terms of looks. And just like you ladies, these men have options, right? And because these Chads and Tyrones don't commit to you, you then go on TikTok and make up cock and bull stories about them. So the story that the previous lady just said then about how this this Chad is posting on incel boards is just it's ridiculous. It's nonsensical. It makes no sense.
Looking. A couple of notes here. I mean, one of them, the most obvious one is, like I said before, don't ever tell a woman that women aren't funny. Apparently that will move you right to the rejection zone.
Look, I can sort of understand why some guys would make that comment. I think when guys say women aren't funny, they're probably referring to female comedians, because there are some female comedians who aren't funny, but then again, there's probably some male comedians who aren't funny as well. So that's what guys mean when they say that. But a woman wouldn't reject you because just for that reason. No. So that makes no sense at all.
Immediately. So I didn't know that one myself, but just if you don't think women are funny, keep it to yourself, apparently. All right. Now, second of all, here's again another woman who's obsessed with a guy based on his looks, right? She looks at the guy, little to her knowledge, she didn't actually realize he was an incel. She thought he was.
No, that makes no sense at all. Good-looking guys are rarely incel, unless he's got some severe mental problem. But not buying that.
Super hot, right? Obviously, this guy doesn't think he's super hot, or there's something wrong with him. There's some reason why he's not getting laid because he was in an incel group. I mean, I would suggest also that when women use the term incel, it's the entire manosphere. I think that's what they mean. So he might not have actually been in an incel group. He might have been in one of the other groups. The outside world thinks you're an incel. So just take that for what it's worth, right? Just so you have this knowledge. I'm not saying that you are, but you realize that this is how people view you, right? So she's obsessed with this guy. Okay, so much so she hasn't talked to him. She just looked at him. She's stalking him for weeks. Right? She's trying to figure out information about him. She messages him on Workplace. She goes to a bar. She sees him. She starts talking to him. You would imagine this guy's gonna get laid, right? I mean, there's no way that he can screw this up. Okay, this woman is obsessed with him, right? He's the hottest guy that she's ever seen. However, amazingly, how quickly that changes. One small disqualification is all that it takes, his eyeballs. No, it probably was more than his eyeballs, right? It probably had to do with when she actually had interaction with him and talked with him, that her level of attraction to him diminished because.
Oh, this is bullshit. Look, once again, the real story is with the second woman. She sent the Chad guy a message. He rejected her, and she's pissed off. And she's making up this cock and bull story that he's an incel and he posts on inkwell boards. No. Sorry, I'm not buying it. No. I mean, it's just ridiculous how bulldog mindset, he just takes these stories at face value. I mean, with both the two women that appeared on this video, you can poke so many holes in their story. They don't make any sense. Like, no logical sense at all.
He didn't exhibit the traits women find attractive. It also goes to show you, in order for a woman to be attracted to you, it requires a pretty high bar. For her to be not attracted to you requires a very any small defect can disqualify you. So
the only defect that's going to disqualify you from a woman's just looks. It's amazing what good-looking guys can get away with women. Obviously, there's if a good-looking guy acts too creepy or weird, he could repel a woman. But once again, most good-looking guys, they know how to interact with women, and they can get away with a lot more than say an unattractive guy. Anyway.
This is something that you really need to understand as a man, is that it doesn't matter if you have all the things going for you. If you have one thing that disqualifies you, you could be out of the running. You could be giving a woman the ick, just like that. So they will suddenly not see a man as hot.
Yeah, the only really major thing that gives women the ick is your lack of good looks. That's what gives women the ick. Lack of looks.
Hot anymore once they meet him if he doesn't measure up. If you're online and you're posting crap about women, if you're posting complaints, whining, whatever it is, commenting on women's photos, nasty stuff, or on real, I see guys all the time on my Instagram commenting trash comments, especially on the podcast I do with my wife. They're commenting nasty stuff about women. Wow, you're just like, you could be the hottest guy in the world and you do that and you're done. No woman is going to want to have anything to do with you. You're suddenly not attractive anymore, right? It doesn't matter what you look like, right? If you want a good example of this, who's that comedian on TikTok, Matt Rife? He was like the hottest, super hot guy, right? Like all these women were obsessed with him. Then he said some really negative stuff about women. Boom, no one cares about him anymore. Women hate him now. What I want you to take away from this video is that looks do not matter.
Wrong. No, Bulldog. They do matter. They're critically. Once again, they're critically important to your dating success or failure as a man. I'm sorry, that just is. It just is. That's just the way it is. It's a very black and white way of looking at male-female intimate relationships. But once again, when you observe the behaviour or body language of a woman in the company of a a genetically superior man as opposed to a not so genetically superior man, and it sticks out like dog's balls. That it is about looks. I'm sorry, it is. Now, looks is the first thing a woman sees, and if she doesn't like what she sees, there'll be no chance of intimacy between you and said woman. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it goes. But of course, the scam PUA industry will downplay the importance of looks because you can't make money out of telling the truth.
I'm not saying that they don't matter at all, but what I'm saying is that, in fact, maybe this is a better statement. You could be the hottest guy that a woman has ever seen, and that does not matter. Because if she meets you, if she talks to you, if she evaluates you, if there's one small disqualification that she does not like about you, you're out. It doesn't matter. So don't prioritize focusing on looks. Yes, you should improve your looks as much as you can, okay, just to be in the running. But
well, there you go. You see, he just contradicted himself. On one hand, he's downplayed the importance of looks, but then he's told men to looks max. We in the BP community tell men to looks max. I think one very unfair criticism of the BP is that we just tell guys to give up and just no, that's not the BP at all. In the BP, we tell men, yes, try and self-improve as much as you humanly can, and try and looks max. But that doesn't work. Well, then you might have to look at giving up, because if you just keep getting rejected by women all the time, regardless of how well you're presenting yourself, it's going to do some serious damage to your mental health, and you really don't want to do that, guys. I mean, in addition to your physical health, you've also got to maintain your mental health. And getting constantly rejected by women, it's not going to do your mental health any favors, and it's not going to do your mental health any favors at all. But no, we in the BP community, we do encourage men to looks max, but just temper your expectations. You're not going to necessarily land the hot 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10 looking Stacey. You might have to settle for an average girl. But even with looks maxing, there's no guarantee that's going to work, because for looks maxing to work, you need a base to start with. I tried to looks max and I got into great shape, but unfortunately it took me from a 1 out of 10 to barely a 3 or a 4. Unfortunately, that doesn't cut it with modern women these days, but that's my life. Sorry, that's my tough luck. Improve your looks as much as you can. You got to do that. So he Bulldogs contradicted himself. He's downplayed the importance of looks, but then he's encouraged men to looks max to be in the running. He actually quoted a tenant of the BP.
when I tell you that looks are not the most important thing, believe me, it's not just...
No, we're not going to believe you, because looks is the most important thing. Yes, obviously, the social skills and behaviour come after that. Of course, I'm not dismissing that, but you have to pass that looks test first. Then other factors come into play: your behaviour, your social skills, your conversational skills, your ability to correctly interpret female body language, which is something you haven't talked about. Well, this is one thing. This is probably one of my main pet peeves or annoyances with these PUA scammers and dating agents. They don't discuss the topic of female body language and how to read it and interpret it correctly.
Me saying it's not just women saying it; it's actual proof. When you see that, I can understand why guys...
No, there's no proof. You're going off two cock and bull stories from two women who are obviously lying. The first woman, she hooked up with the Chad. Chad didn't want to commit to her. She goes on TikTok and says, "Oh no, I rejected him because he said women weren't funny." Come on, give me a break. That's just insulting my intelligence. The second woman, she sent a message to Chad. Chad rejected her or ignored her, and she makes up this she fabricates a story or makes a cock and bull story that he's an inkwell and he posts on inkwell boards. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break.
I think the opposite of this, because if you watch that first video only, or you watch the first part of that second or third video that I showed you, you would think that women are obsessed about a guy just based on how he looks. And
Well, they are. Look at Jerry Meeks, for example. Just prior to him being released from prison, and after they released his mugshot, when his mugshot went viral, women were simping for him. They were writing to him. I believe that some women actually sent money to him. And look what happens when he gets released from jail. He lands a multi-million-dollar modelling contract, which will probably see up the rest of his life, just because of his looks. So women are obsessed with men's looks. Oh, you bet. You bet. I'll give you an example. In 1987, I saw the US rock band Bon Jovi here in Sydney. I kid you not, of the capacity, I think, what did the old Sydney Entertainment Centre hold? Only about 12, maybe 13,000 people. Most of it was women, because they found, no, I'm not gay, I don't look at men, but from a woman's point of view, women considered John Bon Jovi an attractive guy, and most of the people at that concert were young women, obsessed with him. So no, women will obsess over a man's looks. Like, you bet. They'll go crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Alright guys, I'm back.
And I've seen it. I've seen it happen in real life. I mean, sorry, I had to bring this up again, but my Chad friend, not just on that cruise, in other social situations,
Sweet
that I observed him in, women were swarming over him. Oh, you bet. Yeah. If a woman really likes the look of a guy, they'll chase him. Yeah. And I'll make it known that she's attracted to the guy.
It is true they started off that way, but once they meet the guy and once they talk to him, their evaluation criteria changes drastically, and the brain will automatically change their hotness into ugliness if they don't match up. I've been preaching this for a long time. I can't give you a better evidence of this. I mean, this is not even set up.
No, it's not evidence. You're going off to women who, I think are bullshitting. I think they're lying. They're straight out lying. Once again, the first woman hooked up with Chad. Chad didn't want to commit to her. She makes a cock and ball. She goes on TikTok and says, "Oh, I rejected him because he said women were not funny." Second woman sent a message to the Chad. The Chad ignored her or rejected her, and she makes up this story that he's an inquiry. Nah, sorry, those stories are just too. They're just too unbelievable. They're just too unbelievable. They're not evidence. No, very weak evidence.
Up, right? It's not even like these women were trying to prove a point. Like they're trying to show you that looks don't matter. To some degree, they think looks matter.
Of course they do. Look at the way they were talking about those guys. You know, when you see women get interviewed in the street, look, some of them will be honest. Some will say yes, looks is important. Obviously, other women will excuse me, more virtue signal and bullshit. Oh no, it's about your personality and confidence. Yeah, bullshit. When it comes to women, look, if you really want to work women out, never listen to the words. Watch what they do, and I think you'll find that throughout the manosphere. There's one thing that all us men in the manosphere agree upon, and that is never listen to a woman's words, observe her actions. Because unfortunately, with women, and I'm not saying this in a misogynistic, hateful manner, what they say as opposed to what they do tend to be mutually exclusive. It's just the way it is. Women will say one thing, but we'll do the complete opposite. And once again, I'm not saying that in a hateful manner. I'm just basing this on observable reality.
Right? They might not even realize what's actually happening psychologically here, right? They might think, oh, obviously if a woman says this is the hottest guy I've ever seen and she's obsessed with him, she thinks that looks matter to her. She might even think that, but it's not true. It is not the thing. Women don't even understand what is it actually that attracts them to a man.
Yes, they do. His height, his race. I think we all know the importance of race. You know, whether he's got a full head of hair, his jaw structure, his face, how attractive his face is. Is he in shape or not? No. Most attractive.
Oh, hey!
If you think about it,
Thanks for tuning into the stream.
It's above the neck. It's above the neck. Obviously, height's important too. But women are very visual creatures. They're extremely visual creatures. They may not admit it, but they are. When you observe how they actually behave, as opposed to what they say, looks is the most number one important thing to women, and women are the more visual gender. I'm sorry, they are. You see the way
tuning into the stream.
They are.
They think that it's looks, but it's not. They get this impression of a guy, right? And what they believe about the guy, that is what matters. I hate to break it to you guys. You don't have an excuse anymore.
I could cuss out Bulldog here, but don't bite my tongue very hard. I find that comment very offensive, actually. Extremely offensive. He's basically blaming us guys, particularly us physically unattractive guys, for something that's not our fault, and for the most part, completely out of our control. There's not much I can do when women reject me even before I open my mouth. And there's also the situations, actually, I'll make a video about this. I'll call it my dating in the dark moments, where I've interacted with a woman over the phone, and I was really about forming a connection. Like I was, the woman liked the sound of my voice. She engaged in conversation with me, and she appeared to be interested until she met me in person. And she does a full 180 on me because she saw.
That's a hilarious.
So I know how to talk to converse because I know how to converse with any human being. So I know how to talk to women. As I said before, I've had some great conversations with them over the phone. As soon as they saw me in person, I didn't say I'd do anything differently. They did a full 180 on me. So, yeah. So no, you don't, once again, you got to pass the test first.
And I think the reason why a lot of guys gravitate towards this idea that looks are so important, that looks matter so much, is because it's the thing that you don't have. And so you're like, okay, well, if I don't have it and I can't get it, it's outside of my control, then it's not my fault.
That's right, it's not your fault. How's a physically unattractive man, someone like me, for example, to be blamed for that? Sure, you can try and look smacks, but that only has a ceiling for certain guys.
How are you doing today,
average, say slightly below average, you use some serious looks matching. Yeah, you can knock yourself up a few points. I mean, the classic case is the BP content creator called Ascended. He's a gentleman from the US. You should check out his channel, actually. He goes by the name of Ascended. And he really has ascended. Before, he was overweight, he was going bald. He engages in both hard and soft looks maxing. The hard looks maxing was he got a successful hair transplant. The soft looks maxing was that he went to the gym, lost the weight. Now you could recognise the guy. He's gone from, say an average guy, or slightly below average looking guy, to a Chad. And now he's killing it with them. So, yeah, with me it didn't work because I had no base to work with. And when I was overweight, I was a 1 out of 10 on look scale. When I got the shape, I probably knocked myself up 2, maybe 3 points. But guess what, guys? Being a 3 or 4 out of 10, even a 4 out of 10, just doesn't cut it with the modern woman. When I lost weight and was in terrific shape, women just saw me as an ugly dude with a good body. Whoopie-doo.
which I get that. I understand that psychology. If you can own up and realize that the truth is that looks don't matter as well.
No. Looks do matter, Bulldog. Please don't. Ugh. I don't have to fall for this stuff. I really don't. And what he said before was extremely extremely angry. I'm not going to cuss him out because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube for using obscene language. But yeah, I was biting my tongue very hard there when he said, you got no excuses now, and it's your fault. Stuff like that's very toxic. That's incredibly toxic. Particularly guys, particularly unattractive guys who approach lots of women and be rejected, and to be told that's not good. That's not good. That can do a lot of damage to a man's mental health. I gave up one dating because I just kept getting rejected all the time, and I just, I wanted to preserve my mental health.
Should have been
I said, no, I'm over it. And also other guys are giving up on dating too. And once again, that's a personal decision each man has to make.
I hate when that
Can you blame guys for giving up on dating?
That is one of the most annoying.
Who wants to subject themselves to a public humiliation ritual? No, screw that. No way.
I'm actually probably going to have to load.
I think I'll just stick to my pay and play. Okay, so I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay for my people to come with a laser. Tell you what, there's no BS. There's no BS. So no, Bulldog, I deeply resent your assertion and your statement that unattractive guys are at fault for their lack of luck with the lasers. That's just wrong. I'm sorry, that's very toxic. I think it's shameful that you could say something like that. And that's why us men, the big equal communities, that's what we hate you. You pay your PUAs and dating roaches.
This bug has been in the
game
guilt
tripping
4 years.
Unattractive men for something that's not their fault, and for the most part, is out of their control. Yeah, they can look smacks a bit, but they can make it look smacks up to a point or two, but really beyond that, there's not really much they can do. Yeah.
Much as you think that they do, and that actually being the best looking guy in the world is not going to matter. In fact, if you had a magic wand and you could make yourself the best looking guy in the world, it would not change your results very much with women.
Not like
Rubbish.
this. That's a hilarious
Absolute garbage. If I could turn myself into a 6'4" giga shed, my results would improve dramatically. And like I said before, with that YouTuber assembly, dramatically. He looks maxed, and his results with women absolutely. His success rate actually exploded before he couldn't pull a woman to save his life when he was overweight and losing hair. As soon as he got the hair transplant, lost the weight. His success rate with women absolutely exploded. So no, Bulldog, if you've got that wrong again.
It would change them slightly, but if you're the same guy that's getting rejected by women now and you just became better looking, it wouldn't make a difference.
Rubbish, absolute rubbish. If you're an ugly guy before and you become a good-looking guy, your success rate your success rate with women would improve dramatically. What a dumb, stupid statement to make. See, the most toxic thing about PUA and dating roaches is that they shame men, they falsely blame unattractive men for something that's their fault, and what they like to do is they like to guilt trip you. I think Mystery had this great little tactic here. I think when I was reading some Mystery stuff, he said, as a man, if you don't learn game, your genes are going to be mercilessly weeded out of the gene pool. Look, you've got no choice in that matter, game or no game. If women are going to reject you because your ugly looks, it's going to happen anyway, whether you like it or not. If women aren't picking you, they don't find you attractive. What's game going to do? Game's not going to stop that. But for Bulldog to suggest that if an ugly man becomes attractive, that his success rate that his results will won't improve, that's ludicrous. That is ridiculous. If you're an unattractive man and you become physically attractive, your results will improve dramatically. Yeah. Once again, these PUA scammers have to downplay the importance of looks because you can't make money out of telling the truth, and telling the truth is bad for their business model.
As you can see with this example. Hey, if you want some help improving your dating life, improving your social life, and building business, becoming more successful, developing yourself as a man, developing real masculine traits that women find attractive, click the link down below. Join us in the Bulldog.
Okay, gentlemen, that concludes my reaction video to this video about the good-looking guy getting rejected. Yeah, no, look, I mean, it's pretty obvious that those two women that appeared in the video were lying. The first one, they did hook up, got intimate. And of course, Chad didn't want to commit to her. She goes on TikTok to make up some cock and bull story some bullshit story that he said that women weren't funny. No.
Not much, but it's.
The second woman, she sent a message to Chad. Chad ignored her and rejected her. And she goes on TikTok and makes up a bullshit story that he participates on Inkwell boards and says bad things about women. Good-looking guys wouldn't be wasting their time on Inkwell boards. They wouldn't be wasting time on PUA boards because they're getting laid. Why would they need to post on those boards? Because that makes no sense at all. So sorry, guys. Both those women were bullshitting. Sorry. The stories they made made absolutely no sense at all. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening to my video. If leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. You guys have a great day. Bye for
Then
now.
the closer you will be to loving me.
Coach Kopi Wayne.
G'day everybody, it's Master Yoda here. Hope you guys are all doing well. Title of today's video is another reaction video. It's a reaction video to a PUA video made by a guy called Coach Corey Wayne, and he's the title of the video that I'm reacting to. It's called "Do Looks Really Matter to Women?" And I must thank one of my subscribers. I think he goes by the name of BLKAC-PILL-Black-Life. Thanks very much for that suggestion. I do appreciate it. Yeah, in one of my previous video, he asked me to do a reaction to this guy. He goes by the name of Coach Corey Wayne. He's another PUA scammer. I've got a bit of history with this guy. This is going back about 12 years ago in 2013. I left some comments on his video saying, look, it's all about looks, and really it is. If you want to get genuine attraction from women, it is based on your looks. Obviously behaviour and other things come into play, but you've got to pass the looks test with women. There's no way around it. And he didn't like my comments and he deleted them. Yeah, typical PUA. So without further ado, I'll let the video run and give my commentary. So
just gave me 3 spawns of Z.
Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, do looks really matter to women?
Is the Pope Catholic? Does a bear shit in the woods? Does a whale shit in the ocean?
Right.
Does a great white shark have sharp teeth? Of course they matter to women. They're critically important to women. It's the first thing they see. And if you don't pass that looks test, they're going to reject you either verbally if you ask them out for a date, or usually via their body language. And this is, once again, this is one thing these PUA scammers don't talk about, female body language. You have to observe a woman's body language when you're interacting with one, especially when you have a romantic interest in. As I've said in many of my previous videos, most of my rejections were body language. It didn't even get to the stage for me to ask that woman out. I already knew. The usual stuff, dirty looks, the silent treatment, back turns, refusal to look you in the eye, and with verbal body language or social cues, whatever you call it, they just give you one-word answers. They make absolutely no effort to participate in the conversation. They act bored. You know, yeah, it's not hard to tell, guys. It really is. Unless you've got 25th degree Asperger's, female body language is pretty easy to read. And with Coach Corey Wayne, this video, actually, it was made quite a while ago. The video I'm reacting to was made back in October 2011. And this is what he put. Coach Corey Wayne discusses an email from a reader who lies to himself that being successful with women boils down to being lucky and having good looks. Well, no, he's not lying to himself. Being successful with women does boil down to being lucky and being born with the right genetics. It is. Of course it is. If you're born with ugly looks, dating is going to be a very self-esteem crushing experience for you. It's going to be a very frustrating experience for you. I should know. And a lot of other physically unattractive guys, it becomes a nightmare. Now, I'm not saying that because you're physically unattractive, your dating life is over. No, look, sometimes some unattractive guys can get lucky. But then again, some people become instant millionaires by being in the right place in the right time, buying that particular lottery ticket. But no, your success with women does rely a lot on luck, and particularly with the genetics you're born with. If you're born with crappy genetics like me, for example, forget about it. Your dating life's over. Not your entire life, but your dating life, it's over. I don't mean to sound all doomerish and negative, but you've got to be realistic. You've got to be honest with yourself. So yeah, just on this thing here, Coach Corey Wayne goes, he's simply bullshitting to himself to avoid the necessary work to improve his skills with women because it feels uncomfortable. Well, that's just PUA shaming language. This PUA is unfairly blaming a physically unattractive man for something that's not his fault and completely out of his control, or for the most part, out of his control.
Wow.
He then goes on to say why women rate confidence as being more important than looks as to what qualifies they find sexually attractive in men. That's absolute bullshit. Bullshit. Confidence is only attractive to women if they find a man physically attractive. Once again, when women say they're attracted to confidence, what they're really saying is we're attracted to tall, good-looking men who have the confidence to approach us after we've given them the green light or the choosing signals to do so. Telling an ugly guy to just be confident is akin to pouring syrup on shit and calling it pancakes. You can't polish a turd. So in this description here, Coach Corey Wayne is basically unfairly shaming physically unattractive guys for something that's not their fault. And he's sort of implying here that attracting women or seducing them is a skill. It's not a skill. It never has been. It never will be. When you're interacting with a woman that you have a romantic interest in, you've got no control over the outcome. Absolutely none. I mean, obviously you have control over your behaviour, but whether that woman decides to sleep with you or have a relationship with you, it's completely out of your hands. At the end of the day, women are the choosers. But anyway, let's carry on.
In other words, do you have to be as good looking as Brad Pitt to get a beautiful woman to be your girlfriend?
No, maybe not as good looking as Brad Pitt, but you've got to be up there. If you want a hot looking woman, you've got to be attractive yourself. The only way around that is that you say you're ugly, but if you're rich, you could potentially attract beautiful women, but those women are they going to be attracted to you or to your money? They're going to be attracted to your money. If you really want to attract beautiful women, you need to be pretty good looking yourself. Look, in lieu of looks, and look, as much as I'm BP'd, regardless of course, we all know, all us men in the BP community know that looks is the most important thing to women. I'm sorry, it is. When you observe how they behave in their relationship choices, it comes down to looks. I'm sorry, it just is. I will say in lieu of looks, if you have a kind of status, say you're a successful musician or an actor or something like that, or a CEO of a company or a politician, yes, women will be attracted to that, even if you're not that attractive. But generally speaking, in order to get genuine sexual attraction to women, it is based on whether that woman finds you physically attractive. It's just the way it is.
Or to date you. Well, I would say looks definitely help. But
Also bloody do. Once again, is the Pope Catholic? There's a bear shit in the woods.
here's the interesting thing, is that I consider myself a pretty good looking guy. And I remember 10, 15 years ago, when I was learning this stuff and perfecting and mastering this stuff, I realized that depending upon how I showed up, how I felt about myself, how confident I felt in my worthiness to be with this particular woman that I was attracted to, had a huge effect on whether she would perceive me as being confident enough and worthy enough to be with her.
This is a whole stack of coke. Whether you think you're worthy enough for a particular woman that you're interested in, it means nothing. She has to find you physically attractive. Now, you can think you're the most worthy guy out there, but if she doesn't find you physically attractive, game over. And also, so I think what he's going into is mindset. You've got to have a confident, you have to have a positive mindset. Your mindset, either negative or positive, has no bearing on your success with women. But I remember many years ago, this is going back around 30 years ago, I tried to act all confident and positive, and I can confidently say that women still confidently rejected me. So look, you can be as confident as positive as you like. It's not going to score any points for the ladies. It really won't.
Because what I was doing is I was making a lot of mistakes and basically saying things and doing things. It was basically communicating that I was apologetic for who I was and that I wasn't worthy. And when you act that way and you think that way and you talk that way, and
here we go, the mindset cope. It doesn't matter, regardless of how confidently you speak to women or how, it all comes down to, whether that woman finds you physically attractive. And the reason why you do get nervous when you're interacting with a woman, particularly if she's about to reject you, because you can observe her negative body language, and also too with her spoken word, with her verbal language. She's giving one word answers and she's acting bored, and you just have to know you start getting nervous because you're going to fight or flight mode. You're going, oh shit, this is going bad. What do I do now? In that situation, what I do. What I would do if the interaction between the women was going bad, I politely thank the woman for a time and just leave her alone. That's what you can do. But this PUA is going on with this mindset and confidence cope. It's all copes, guys. It's bullshit.
Your body language communicates that. Women have absolutely no choice but to reject you.
Oh, Tip. This guy's a clown. He really is a clown. They'll reject you if they don't find you physically attractive. It's not because of what comes out of your mouth. See, PUAs and their fanboys, they push this crap that women aren't attracted to what they see, they're attracted to what they hear. That is absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. So you're telling me, if you're a butt ugly guy, as long as you say the right things, or be able to press the right emotional buttons on a woman, that'll get her to overlook your physical shortcomings and will get her to select it. It doesn't work. You can approach a woman with all the confidence in the world and have the most positive mindset and express yourself in a confident manner. It all means nothing if she doesn't find you physically attractive. What Coach Corey Wayne's going on here is just a lot of pseudo psychological gobbledygook.
From a biological perspective, think about it this way, is that we're all basically trying to mate with those that have the strongest genes, so our offspring will be strong enough to grow up and then mate themselves and therefore carry on the genes to a future generation.
And that's why women pre-select the best-looking guys. When a woman sees a man for the first time, she's saying in her mind, I don't know whether it's subconscious or consciously, but regardless, she's saying to herself, well, if I have offspring or babies with this particular man, are those babies going to be attractive? Are they going to be strong so they can survive? That's not going to happen with an ugly guy. Now, that's not to say that ugly men can't pass on the genes. They sometimes do. But more often than not, their genes are mercilessly weeded out of the gene pool. Maybe it's Mother Nature's way of weeding bad genetics. I think all of us are aware of that statistic that since all the thousands of years of human recorded history and all the billions of humans have walked the face of the earth, I think only 40% of men have managed to pass on their genetics, whereas 80% of women have managed to pass on theirs. So with the 40% that did manage to pass on their genetics, that means there's 60% that didn't. I know my family name ends with me. I'll be passing my genetics on because nobody wants to.
How is he healing so much health?
As you guys will be aware, I'm sub-3 subhuman, according to the modern woman. And women don't want to have babies with me because their babies probably ugly in the formula. I can understand that. I don't hate women because of that. No, I still love and respect women. And then they just look on their biology. They want the best genetics for the offspring they may have with a particular man. Definitely not going to happen with me. Anyway, let's carry on.
But instinctively, biologically, when a woman senses weakness in you, she's going to basically instinctively agree with you.
No, when a woman sees bad genes, not senses, but she sees bad genes, then she will reject you. Once again, this Coach Corey Wayne is just going on a lot of coke bullshit.
If you don't think you're worthy of being with her, and everything you're saying, everything is doing is communicating this to her, then she has...
It doesn't matter whether you think you're worthy or not. She's the one who's got to think you're worthy. See, this is another thing PUAs get hopelessly wrong. They seem to think that men are the choosers when it comes to intimate relations. They're not. Women are. Women play judge, jury, and executioner on your sexual market value. If you don't pass that looks test with that woman, game over. You're done. Look, you could potentially cheat that by, say you're an ugly but rich guy, but then you're not getting genuine attraction. If you're using money as a flex to try and attract women, if you're ugly, you might as well go to a lady tonight. You might as well pay for play because you're not going to get genuine attraction. What happens to those ugly rich guys who do marry beautiful women or anyone? They end up getting stuck in dead bedroom marriages, and where later the woman cheats on him with Chad, and she probably divorces the guy and takes half or more of his shit in a divorce court. But in order to get genuine attraction for a woman, a woman has to find you physically attractive. It's just the way it is. So regardless of whether you think you're worthy of that woman or not, do you think the woman gives a shit? No. She gives a shit about your looks.
Has to agree with you. When I talk about an alpha male is confident enough and has the attitude that I'm a fucking catch.
Oh, Jesus. This is more cope. What defines an alpha male? I mean, in the manosphere, we hear all these types of men, beta male, alpha. My understanding is this. An alpha male is a leader of men. But in today's society, an alpha is usually a Chad. Even if the guy's a bum or no hoper, as long as he's good looking, he's considered alpha. Like take, for example, Jeremy Meeks. He had a guy with a very long criminal record, but he's considered alpha just because of his looks. Yeah, but it doesn't matter what you know. This Coach Corey Wade just going on with nonsense. It doesn't. You can think of the greatest thing since sliced bread, and be confident and supposedly alpha. But if a woman doesn't think much of you, what's the point? It's just cope. And it all comes back to men have to realise their limitations. If you're not a particularly attractive guy, you're not going to land the hot Stacey. It's just the way it is. But once again, your mindset or confidence, regardless of how good that may be, really plays no part in your success with the ladies. It all comes down to your looks and whether that woman finds you physically attractive. Because the bottom line is this: when it comes to male-female intimate relationships, women are the choosers. They play judge, jury, and execution on your sexual market value. You don't pass the looks test with a woman, game over.
And any woman that doesn't see him as a catch, he thinks, you're fucking lost. You're missing out on the best thing that ever would have happened to you.
This is cope. I don't definitely see myself as a catch. I see myself as a physically repulsive man. I know my limitations as a man. I'm humble enough to know that I'm a physically repulsive man that no woman wants. That's why I've got to pay the bribe. That's life of my tough luck. I'm not angry at women because of that. Once again, they're just acting on their biology. So, regardless of what I think of myself, at the end of the day, it's women who are the ultimate and final judges of your attractiveness, not you. You can think of the greatest thing. You can think of Brad Pitt, but if you're not good looking, it's pointless.
And they really feel that way. They really feel like I'm a catch. It's like, what kind of an idiot doesn't take advantage of this, or a guy like me?
No, this is cope, pure cope. Look, as a man, you got to know your limitations. You really do. You got to be honest with yourself. I think one of the worst lies that men can tell is when they lie to themselves, when they think they're something that they're not. It's like someone who couldn't find their way out of a wet paper bag, thinking that they're Mike Tyson. What's going to happen if you put up against the person who doesn't know how to fight? You're going to get your head caved in. You got to be honest with yourself, guys. You really do. And what this PUA is telling is it's just ridiculous. It's nonsensical. What he's doing is, this is probably the most toxic thing about PUA and much of the self-help industry, is that they're giving people, or men in particular, false hope based on blind optimism, and that's very toxic. Very, very toxic.
That's really the way they think. And from an emotional perspective, women know that why do women like successful guys? And it's not necessarily because of looks.
Bullshit. In terms of genuine attraction, women do like a guy because of the way he looks. If you ever listen to women talk amongst themselves, also known as female locker talk, you're going to get the brutal truth on what they find attractive. I've overheard female locker talk. A close in-call friend of mine has told me that some of the female locker talk that he's overheard, and it's basically the same. It's just the same shit all the time. When they're talking about a particular guy, it's all about his looks. Oh, how tall is he? Has he got nice eyes? Has he got nice hair? Not once, whenever I've heard women talk amongst themselves about a particular man, not once was his personality mentioned, or his intelligence. Can he be trusted? Does he have a nice personality? No, it's all about the looks. All about the looks.
All you got to do is look at plenty of celebrities and rock stars and successful CEOs that look like they fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. And it's not, you can ask women, you can ask them what kind of guys are they normally sexually attracted.
Okay, the people you just mentioned, successful rock stars, CEOs, they have status. Okay, look, as much as I'm BP'd about the importance of looks to women, I will say that in lieu of looks, if you have status, yes, that will be attractive to women. Right. But generally speaking, in the vast majority of cases, in order to get genuine sexual attraction from women, it is based on your looks. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
What traits do they find most sexually attractive in men? And they'll all tell you, if you ask enough of them, that good looks is actually like third or fourth.
Bullshit. Bullshit with a capital B. Look, when you ask women, a lot of them will either lie or they'll virtue signal. Look, you'll get some women who are honest, and I respect that. But and the reason why women either lie or virtue signal is because they don't want to be seen to be shallow. But if you interview women anonymously under the condition of anonymity, like they're anonymous, they'll tell you it's looks. It's straight out looks. I remember once I was watching a YouTube video and they were interviewing some people in a nightclub. They interviewed a couple of women and then they interviewed the barmaid. And with the women they interviewed, yeah, something they bullshitted. Oh, no, it's about confidence, your personality, yeah, bullshit. And then they interviewed the barmaid. You know what? I'll give this barmaid credit. She was straight out on it. She said, no, it's your looks. It's looks. And once again, it also you listen to female locker talk, which I just mentioned. When you hear women talk amongst themselves about particular men, it's all about looks. I'm sorry, it is. I know it's a very black and white way of looking at male-female intimate relationships, but when you observe female behaviour, women go for looks first. I'm sorry, they just do.
On third or fourth on their list. And what's usually the number one thing that women like in a man? Confidence.
Jesus Christ, this guy's clueless. Oh, this guy's a muppet. He's a muppet, and he doesn't know what the word confidence means. Okay, one more time for the dummies. Confidence is a self-assured feeling, free of self-doubt, that one will achieve a positive or favourable outcome based on previous success or previous performance accomplishment. Look to 3 words that define confidence. Self-assured feeling. So that means if you're interacting with a lady that you have an intimate interest in, if she's giving you bad body language, dirty looks, silent treatment, back turns, refuse to look you in the eye, your confidence, that self-assured feeling, is going to plummet because you know you've been rejected. On the other hand, if you're getting warm, inviting body language, like, for example, when she's constantly smiling at you, she's touching you, she's entering your personal space, or she's allowing you to enter her personal space, your confidence, i.e. that self-assured feeling, is going to go up because you know there's a good chance you're about to get laid. So when women say they're attracted to confidence, what they're really saying is, we are attracted to tall, good-looking men who have the confidence to approach us after we've given the green light or the choosing signals to do so. Confidence is the byproduct of success. You have to be successful first before the confidence. I'm sorry, there's no other way around it. But some people say fake it till you make it. People see straight through it, especially women. If you put on fake confidence to women will see straight through it. And one reason women get the shits with ugly men who act confident to them, because women are saying to themselves, hang on a minute, I'll give this ugly guy no reason to be confident. Why is he acting confident when I'll give him no reason to be? The bottom line is, confidence is the product of success, and when you're interacting with a woman that you have interest in, you can be as confident with her as she allows you to be.
Oh, I got strong units.
They all say the same thing. Well, what is confidence? What does confidence mean?
Once again, it's a self-assured feeling, free of self-doubt, that one will achieve a positive or favourable outcome based on previous success. You need to be successful first before you have the confidence. No other way around it.
What does it mean when a man is considered to be
Oh,
confident?
that's, yeah.
It's probably a 6'5" Chad. Yeah, those guys are confident, but they're confident by default because of all the positive reinforcement that women have given these guys. So of course they're going to be confidence. But when you're an ugly guy who's had no luck with women at all, or very little luck with women, you're going to have any confidence because you've got no success to base it. You've had no previous success. So good-looking guys, those Chads and Tyrones, they're going to be confident with women by default because of, well, for a number of reasons, because women give them positive reinforcement, and because women are allowing these Chads and Tyrones to be confident. Once again, you can only be as confident with a woman as she allows you to be.
Well, confidence is nothing more than doing what you know how to do and doing it really, really well.
Okay, he's got a point there, and yeah, that's right. If you do something, if you know how to do something, stuttering. If you can do it well, of course you're going to be confident because you've been successful at it before. You've done it before successfully. So of course you're going to have confidence, but you have to have the success first. So he's right there.
Repetition's a mother of skill, and so if there's something that you're not good at, like I'm going to take a professional athlete. There was a time when, say, a professional quarterback didn't know how to throw a football, and they just started throwing it. And over the years and over the decades of playing professionally and playing every day because I had a love and a passion for it, and throwing a football literally thousands and tens of thousands of times, and you do it day in, day out, week after week, month after month, year after year, you can't help but get better at it.
Okay, this is a bad analogy, or what they call a false equivalency. He's comparing playing a sport, which is a skill, to picking up or seducing women. It's not a skill. Sorry, picking up or seducing women is not a skill. A true skill is, learning how to play a sport or learning how to play a musical instrument. Sorry to bring that up again, because I do play the guitar. You can't compare the two. I'm sorry, you can't. Because, excuse me, with a skill like, playing a sport or learning how to play an instrument, yeah, that is a skill because, say, for example, learning how to play the guitar. If I want to play an A5 power chord, as long as I put my fingers in the right place, the guitar is in tune, and it's serviceable, like none of the strings are broken. If I hit the right strings, it's going to make that sound. The guitar's a neutral object. It doesn't care what I look like. It'll do what I command it to do. On the other hand, a woman, it's a human being. It has a mind of its own. And she's either going to work with you or against you, depending on how physically attractive she finds you. If she finds you very physically attractive, she'll work with you. If she doesn't like the way you look, she'll work against you. So no, the coach Corey Wayne has made a very bad analogy here. He's comparing picking up a woman, which is not a skill, to playing a sport, which is a skill. Sorry, it's a bad analogy. Very bad analogy.
And so when a guy is showing himself throwing a football or throwing a football and showing up, he doesn't have to think about it. He doesn't have to bat an eyelash. It's just like becoming successful with women. If you're not very successful with women, I mean, I did it. I figured it all out.
This is more coping. Once again, he's comparing attracting women to a skill, to a skill like sports or whatever. It's a bad analogy. You say, getting better with women. It's a stupid term. Like, you often hear a term, that guy's good with women. It's ridiculous. It's oxymoronic. How can you be good at something when A, it's not a skill, and B, you've got no control over the outcome? When you're acting with a woman you have an interest in, regardless of how well you present yourself or how well you express yourself, you've got no control over the outcome as to whether that woman's going to sleep with you or not. You really don't. It's completely out of your control. But this PUA here, this coach Corey Wayne, whatever he calls himself. He's saying, "Oh, you do have control over it." No, you don't. And like as he said previously, "Oh, you got to think yourself as a catch."
And
What if you're
it
ugly?
shall be done.
You're not a catch. See, the self-help industry, the nonsense they come out with is just.
You need
Yeah.
to find
But
the
unfortunately, people
mask
fall for this
before
stuff.
she gets conquered.
I learned from other people. I made a hell of a lot of mistakes, which if you read my book, you read about all the mistakes I made, and then therefore you can learn from this stuff without having to make the same mistakes.
He's trying to flog his book here, typical PUA.
The cult calls,
And so, what is it about a confident man that a woman loves and is going to be most sexually
What is it about a confident man? Well, he's probably a Chad. That's what women love about him. That's why he's confident.
drawn to or sexually attracted to? Well, think about it this way. Confident guys go after what they want in life. And most often than not, when you start out to start a business or chase a dream, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have any clue how you're going to do it, how you're going to pull it off, how you're going to accomplish this, or what it's going to look like when you've ultimately achieved it. However, despite your fears and your misgivings, you follow your heart because you got a burning desire, and you pursue what you want in spite of your fears. That is sexy to women, because women know that if a guy is confident enough and strong enough to go after what he wants, even though it may scare the crap out of him, whether it's asking a girl out and risking rejection.
Women don't find that attractive, no. And once again, it's another false equivalency or bad analogy. He's comparing to starting a business, which is a skill. Yeah, of course. If you want to run a successful business, you need to have business acumen. You need to have certain skills. You need to be good at whatever you want to do. But that's a skill. But trying to attract or seduce women is not a skill. It never has been, never will. Once again, this PUA is making another false analogy. What women find sexy, that's your looks. That's what they find sexy.
Or it's starting a business. If he has a fearlessness about him, not that he doesn't have any fear, but that he takes action in spite of his fears, that's confidence and that's sexy.
No, it's not confidence. Once again, confidence is the byproduct of success. You got to be successful first, before the confidence. I'm sorry, you can't put the cart before the horse. You've got to have success before you're confident. Once again, no way.
Yeah.
There's just no other way around it.
And the reason it's most sexy to women, I believe, is because emotionally, women want men that are strong enough to open them up emotionally and penetrate them with their masculine presence.
No, women want a Chad. That's what they want. Women want a guy who looks like Chad. Oh dear.
Physically, emotionally, spiritually. And so women are going to be most attracted to guys because they figure if the guy is going to pursue what he wants in life, he's got the strength and the sheer will to do that. He's got the presence. He's basically like a walking masculine erection in his life. In other words, he's penetrating the world with his presence just by how he shows up.
Oh, this is cope. He's going on with a lot of just
Like
pseudo-psychology
10 turns to-
nonsense and bullshit.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And in her mind, she feels that if a guy can do this in the real world, then if she's in a relationship with him, that he'll have the strength to figure out what's going on, why she's hurt, why she's upset, break through her barriers, and no matter what kind of resistance or when she tells him that there's nothing wrong, that he'll actually continue to proceed and break through until she opens up and admits or talks about what is wrong or why she's hurting, and he helps her resolve and work through it. He doesn't solve her problem, but he helps her discuss it and work through it emotionally by talking about it, so she feels comfortable and feels safe, and so she can open up to receive his love again. Well, if a guy is not pursuing his dreams in life,
Okay, I think what he's referring to is men and women in relationships. Yeah, look, he could be wrong. Look, I don't know. I've never been in a relationship, so I can't comment on that. But once again, you've got to pass that looks test. You really do. But look, one thing I will say that women, they are attracted to strong men. I mean, strong emotionally. If as a man, if you're too emotional and too wimpish, that's a turn off to women. Or you're too needy. Yeah, that could be a big turn off to women. Yeah. So anyway.
and not chasing what he wants because he feels that, well, other guys are lucky or I don't have all the breaks that everybody else has, then she feels that if there's ever a problem in the relationship or things get difficult, that he won't be a good provider for the children and that he probably won't be able to open her up when she's really hurting because he's just simply not going to be strong enough and not going to have enough confidence in himself. So I got an email here from a guy who's pretty cynical, jaded, and for the most part, he's jealous of the success of other people. And it's obvious. Let me just read the email to you. He says, yeah, some of the biggest pricks I know. This was in a response to one of the articles that I posted the other day about an alpha male and going for your dreams and why women are attracted to these kinds of men that are successful. So he says, I do not want a woman who finds these pricks attractive. If this is what it takes, I don't want no part of it. God, how I hate these business, big mouth pricks. If that is what women are attracted to, screw that. I would rather be alone. That alpha male prick. God, I hate these pricks with a passion. Have a nice day. Chris. P.S. I still believe it's all predetermined. It's all about looks.
Yeah, it is. He's right. It is about looks. Look, women are attracted to high status guys, CEOs and successful businessmen. Yeah, but are they attracted to the actual guy himself or what he can provide? So I think we're all aware of the modern female's dual mating strategy. Excuse me. and that is when women are in their prime, in their 20s, when they should be settling down and having kids, they're out banging all the alphas and who are the alphas? The Chads and Tyrones, the really good-looking guys. The thing is, these women, they hit their late 20s, early 30s, and they get a case of the baby rapes. They say, shit, I want to have kids. The thing is, these Chads and Tyrones won't commit to these women, so the women then settle for the beta provider, the reliable, Mr. Nice Guy, the average or below average-looking guy they rejected in their prime. And they end up marrying these guys, and these poor guys end up in a dead bedroom marriage. Because, and the reason why these reliable beta males, these not so good looking, but financially more stable guys, they weren't the woman's first pick. The woman wanted Chad. Chad didn't commit to, so she had to settle for these guys. So these reliable beta male providers, they're being settled for. They were not the woman's first pick. So when women are attracted to a successful guy, are they attracted more to him or for what he can provide? And once again, if you've got to use money as a flex to supposedly attract women, you might as well pay to play. But in saying that, obviously you should try and make as much money as a man as you can, whether it be for your career or your business if you happen to be self-employed. But whatever you do, don't use money as a flex to attract women, because you just put a big target on your back for gold diggers and users. So, But just on, and obviously too, you should always try to do your best in life. Have goals. Try always look at self-improvement. Nothing wrong with that. I know us men in the big P and in-core communities, we often get accused of just telling guys to give up. No. Obviously, you should try and do your best. But just remember two things. If you're going to embark on a journey of self-improvement, just be realistic and know your limitations. And as to women being attracted to successful guys, well, of course they are, but are they attracted to the actual guy or for what he can provide? And our good mate Richard Coper, the guy that sells the tactical soap, and that guy, in one of his, he's got a line, and now I don't think he came up with it, but he made this one quote, which I tend to agree with. What was it? I think, women don't want to share your struggles. They just wait at the finish line and want to bang the winners. That's generally true. That's generally true. But who do women have genuine attraction to? The Chads. Yeah. Anyway, let's carry on.
You may wish to add that in your next book, or it can be summed up with one sentence. If you are not Brad Pitt, forget the woman of your dreams. The end. But
okay, that's a bit extreme. You don't have to be Brad Pitt to be able to attract a woman or a beautiful woman. But you need to be pretty good looking. I mean, we've all seen the Tinder studies. What was it? Women only found 5% of the men attractive, but the remaining 95% of being ugly. Now that does not mean that 95% of the male population is going to miss out on relationships and intimacy. No, but it means an increasing percentage of men, through no fault of their own, are just not having women in their lives. Yeah, it's cruel, but it's just the way the world is. I mean, modern women they're just so picky these days. So no, you don't have to be Brad Pitt, but dating's tough out there, guys. It's tough, really tough.
have a nice day. Well, thanks for your email. What this basically tells me about your email is that you want to be successful. It's not that you hate these pricks that are rich and successful. You want to be one of those guys. You wish you were successful like they were. Whether it's a business that you want to start or a career you want to have, for whatever reason, you have, at least up until this point in your life, not taking the action that you know you need to take in order to create the circumstances where one day you can be living the life of your dreams. The bottom line is you're just sitting on the sidelines and you're not participating in life. You're not going after things, and you're using this story that things like, oh, it's guys that are good looking and like Brad Pitt, they're the ones that get pretty women, so I can never have that.
Well, for the most part, that's true. For the most part, that is true. I mean, it may not be Brad Pitt, but if you want an attractive woman, you need to be pretty attractive yourself, because as we know, women are very hypergamous. They mostly date up. Even you're not so attractive women, they date up. So as a man, if you have any chance with a lady, you need to be pretty attractive yourself. Well, this is just the way it is. We now live in a hookup culture, guys. Not a dating culture. It's a hookup culture. And what's that based on? Your look.
Well, I don't get any women because I'm not a business big mouth prick, and that's his excuse. And basically, what this guy is doing is using these things. This is part of what we call his story that he uses to bullshit himself.
Well, no, he's not bullshitting. He may not be physically attractive. He may be an unattractive guy. So how's he bullshitting? He's just being honest.
And in other words, by saying these things to himself, he can make himself feel good and continue to lie that the success that he wants is out of his reach, and it's...
Well, it could be out of his reach, particularly with attracting a very beautiful woman. If he's not a particularly attractive guy himself, it may be out. There's a chance it will be out of his reach, unless he can look smack his way out of it. And even then, there's no guarantee that that'll work.
All dependent upon things that are outside of his control. But the bottom line is, it's all up to you, dude. If you...
Here we go. Here's the PUA shaming language. It's all your fault. This is the most toxic thing about PUAs and much of the self-help industry is that if they're the useless rubbish that these guys teach, if it doesn't work, it's all your fault. It's on you. No, it's not the useless nature of the material. It's all your fault. This is probably the most toxic thing about dating broaches and PUAs. Yeah, they like to gaslight and unfairly blame unattractive men for something that's not their fault and, for the most part, out of their control.
You choose to be successful in life or unsuccessful, it's a conscious choice. If 10 years...
Not really. Okay, with business, that's a different story. But that's a skill. Starting and running a successful business is a skill. But attracting women, that's not a skill. That's something that's really, for the most part, out of your control.
Years from now, you're not where you want to be in life. It's going to be because you failed to take the action that you needed to take. Bottom line is, you must participate in your own rescue if you want to change your circumstances. It doesn't get any simpler or more complicated than that. So if you find these messages of value, you can show your appreciation by clicking on the PayPal donate button, which is
Okay. Yeah, he's flogging his griff now.
at the bottom of the Wibbia toolbar. If you happen to be watching this video on my website, you can also share this article and page with all of your friends and family by clicking also on the Wibbia toolbar below, either Facebook, LinkedIn, or the Twitter share buttons. And if you have a question that you'd like to send that I can maybe consider to answer in one of these future video newsletters, just click the contact tab, which is on the left-hand side of your screen, and give me several days or a week or so to get back to you with an answer. I can't guarantee that I'm going to use all of it because I get more emails than I can write articles for, but I'll at least send you a response and send you in the right direction of where you need to go. And if you'd like to become one of my
All right, guys, that concludes my reaction to this PUA called Coach Corey Wayne. And once again, a very big thank you to BLKAC-pill-black-life. Thanks for that suggestion, and I must apologise for the delay in producing this video. Yeah, typical PUA, downplays the importance. G'day everybody, it's Master Yodi here, and I hope you guys are all doing well. The title of today's video is called My Dating in the Dark Moments. For those of you not familiar with the reality TV show Dating in the Dark, what it is, it's a, I don't know what you'd call it, a reality TV show / social experiment. It's where they get a group of men and women to interact with each other in the dark. They later then turn on the lights so that the women can see who they were actually interacting with, and yeah, some of the reactions were quite interesting to say the least. There was a UK edition, there was a US one. I don't think there was an Australian one, but I definitely know there was a UK one and US one. Yeah, it's quite fascinating. With the UK one, I remember there was one episode where this one, quite attractive lady, she was interacting with this guy, this gentleman in the dark, and the guy, when they showed him, he wasn't a particularly good-looking guy, no homo here. I suppose you could call him slightly below average looking. He wasn't hideous, but he wasn't particularly attractive either, from a woman's point of view. And when they turned the light, and during the interaction, yeah, they really, it appeared they were forming a connection. And this guy, although he wasn't particularly attractive physically, he knew how to talk to girls. You know, he could flirt with them, and he really knew how to talk to women. He had game, if that's what it means. And he knew how to talk to women. And the woman that he was interacting with was getting turned on. She goes, "Oh, can you feel the chemistry?" And but then they turned the lights on. They did a face reveal, and when the woman saw the guy, she did a full 180 on him. She made fun of the guy. She really put him down. What did she say? Oh, he looks like a cross between Shrek and Bob the Builder. And then she says, "Oh, he'll never get a girl like me," which I thought was a pretty arrogant thing to say. Okay, if she wasn't attracted to the guy physically, she could have just said, "Look, you know, he was nice to talk to. He knows how to talk to women, but he's just not my type physically. I wish him all the best." But no, she had to humiliate the guy and put him down just because of the way he looked. Nothing wrong with his social skills. His social skills were great. As I said before, he knew how to flirt with this woman. He knew how to talk to her. And it happened to a few other guys as well, although they were a little bit better looking. And you know, they were interacting with these ladies. They knew how to talk to these women. They knew how to flirt with them, and yeah, they had good social skills. They knew how to talk to women, the right way to talk to a woman. And but when the lights came on, when the woman didn't like what she saw, they just did full 180s on these guys. You know, they nitpicked everything about his looks. Yeah, but you know, in spite of the fact the guy had a good personality and had good social and conversational skills. The thing is, the same thing's happened to me. No, don't get me wrong. I haven't appeared on a TV show, but I'll give you a few examples where it's happened to me. Probably the most notable one was back in July of 1999. I met this Irish lady through the Lonely Hearts column, one of our major tabloid newspapers here. I think it's called the Daily Telegraph or Daily Mirror. Yeah, I put an ad in the paper and she responded to it, and I was talking to her over the phone, and we were talking for a good solid hour or so. Yeah, she liked the sound of my voice. She liked everything that I liked, and I thought I'm forming a real connection here. You know, when I end up meeting her, I'll, something could come of it. So as I said before, yeah, over the phone, we got along famously. She liked my voice. She liked everything I liked, until she met me in person, and then she didn't like what she saw, and she did the biggest 180 on me. And for the miserable hour and a half that I spent with her, all she could do was complain about how her ex-husband was an alcoholic, and that he was no good in bed. Now, look, I don't solicit that kind of information. Like, when I'm chatting up a young lady that I'm interested in, I want to keep it happy and positive. I don't say to women, "Oh, excuse me, can you tell me about all the shit experiences you've had with men?" Nobody wants to hear that. Okay, look, if people have had bad relationships in the past, I sympathise. It's terrible when that happens. No one deserves that, but it's just a fact of life. But if you've been in a bad relationship, okay, obviously break up with a person, but you've got to, at some point in time, you've got to move on with your life, get on with your life. But no, for the miserable 90 minutes, all this woman could do was talk about her alcoholic ex-husband who was no good in bed. And once again, I don't solicit that kind of information. I was trying to change the topic and talk about happy stuff, like how she liked to have fun, what her hobbies and interests were. But no, I think she was doing that to get rid of me. One little game that women like to play with men, if they don't like a particular guy, to get rid of him, what they'll do, they'll just become the biggest ball buster and pain in the arse. And I think that's what she was doing. Silly me, I was too nice. I mean, I could tell that the date was going bad. It was a blind date. I spoke to her on the phone previously, but she didn't know what I looked like until she met me. We actually met at a coffee shop here in Sydney. Yeah, when she met me, she did a big 180 on me. All of a sudden, she hated everything that I liked, which I'm saying to myself, well, hang on, over the phone, she liked everything I liked. As soon as she saw me, yeah, she did the biggest 180 on me. So there's one dating in the dark moment for me. Well, it's another one. Yeah, probably the blind date that led to me completely giving up on dating back in September of 2012. And once again, I met this lady through the Lonely Hearts column of a major tabloid newspaper here in Sydney, the Daily Telegraph. Over the phone, once again, she liked my voice, and we seemed to be forming a real connection. Now, this lady lied about her age. She said she was in her 40s, but she was actually in her 50s. But that didn't bother me, because I do prefer older women. And she still looked good for her age. When I actually met her, she had a great body. Smoking my body. Still a very attractive woman. I was 43, about to be 44. So yeah, when we met, now in this particular case, I wouldn't say this lady did a full 180 on me like the Irish woman did back in 1999. I mean, she bought me a drink, I bought her one. She was, I suppose she tolerated me, and she was reasonably polite. Like, she wasn't rude to me. I'm being fair here, but I could tell there was no attraction, and basically the date fizzled out. And I met her about 6:30, and we talked maybe for 2-3 hours max. And about 8:30, 9:30, yeah, I could tell the date was going bad, and she rejects me with this line. She goes, "You're too quiet for me. I'm looking for a party animal." This is from a woman on the wrong side of 50. Now, I didn't get angry with her. I mean, I just politely shook her hand and said, "Look, thank you for coming. I wish you the best," and walked out. To completely ruin my night. But as the old saying goes, shit happens. So yeah, there's another dating in the dark moment for me. Where's another one? I don't know if you'd call this another dating in the dark moment. But back in the late 80s, I was working in the admin area of a life insurance and superannuation company, and I was talking to this lady who worked at one of our other offices. The company I worked for, they had branches throughout the state, and I was talking to this lady over the phone, and I wasn't trying to hit on her, but we were having a bit of small talk, and she really liked the sound of my voice. She said I had a sexy voice. Well, I don't think I do, but she said she did, and we seemed to be forming a connection over the phone until she saw me in real life. Now, look, she was still polite to me, but not as polite to me as she was on the phone. No, once again, she was not rude to me, but she wasn't as polite to me as to when she was talking to me on the phone. Yeah.
The fort. Welcome.
So yeah, they're my dating in the dark moments. Look, you can have the best conversational and social skills in the world, but if you don't pass that looks test, it means nothing. And we'll do a 180. I mean, you could talk to a woman over the phone, be forming you can have a great conversation, and you think you could be forming a connection until she sees your face. And if she doesn't like what she sees, she'll do a massive 180 on you. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's all to say on the topic. Thank you very much for listening to my video. If you'd like to leave your likes, comment, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. You guys have a great day. Bye for now.
Sensations. Name it, and it shall be done. Vampire of the waves. Submission?
I follow my passions. They pulse with my call. Drown in the elixir. It will not last for long. I do as I will. Magic is my plaything.
My prince, I move in the next way. Power is freedom. Ready to sample the wares?
Thrive on the pain. Freedom is power. Steel card.
Druki anointed.
Taste our pleasures.
The cult of plentiful excess. Cultist of the perfect prince.
Maledictor. Dark magic is but a means to delightful ends.
To touch a dragonborn is blasphemy. Speak! I need an audience. Prepare to have your heart soar in ecstasy and your soul taken. This has my approval.
Darkness comes.
G'day everybody, it's Master Yoda here, hope you guys all doing well. Title of today's video, it's another reaction video. It's a reaction video to a PO video on how to pick up young women as a much older man. It's made by Alex playing with fire, whereas in the BP and Incore community we call him Alex playing with himself. So I'll let the video run and pause and give my commentary, so without further ado, let's go.
Younger women are attracted to older men way more than they care to admit. How?
Bullshit. Okay, now this has got to be a gold digger, right? And there's no way this young lady's going to be attracted to this, but he's old enough to be a dad, probably the grandfather. No, she's either a gold digger or an escort. No, let me assure you, yeah, young women are not attracted to men that are much older than. Look, maybe if he's an old Chad or an old Giga Chad, but even then, there's a ceiling as to the type of women those guys can pick up. I mean, say for example, you're a 50-year-old Chad or 50-year-old former Giga Chad, yeah, you might attract a 30-year-old or
I kept trying to walk away, and he kind of just like what
and clothes and pull gorgeous women.
in there.
Charge of sexual assault against Aguirre.
I was being cornered in a very uncomfortable position.
But another woman wrote his own account on Instagram. From there, she got messages inviting her to huge parties were withdrawn while the courts faced tremendous backlogs.
Let me like this one out. Fuck.
a 35-year-old, but you're not going to be picking up young, hot 20-year-olds. No, that's simply not going to happen. If you go on a lot of manosphere channels, particularly the PUA ones, they say, oh, when you're a man, you hit your prime when you're 40, because usually by that time you're more financially secure, more financially established, and women are going to be young women are going to be attracted to that. That's bullshit. Look, generally speaking, women are mostly attracted to men their own age. So if they're a young woman, they're going to be attracted to men who are of a similar age, like young men of a similar age, or a couple of years younger or older, give or take. But they're not going to be attracted to a much older man. No way. And if they are, it's only because he's rich and she's a gold digger. So yeah, let's see what the rest of this pickup artist or rejection artist has to say.
However, older guys ruin almost every single opportunity they get, especially when the girl asks them, so, how old are you? And the crazy part, this has nothing to do with your actual age. It's just about avoiding the 5 common mistakes that older men are always making when talking to younger women. So whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or even 60s, if you can avoid these mistakes that I'm about to go through, you're going to come off as the confident, dominant older guy that she...
Give me a break. As if these women are attracted to these old farts. Give me a break. Unless there's a lot of money involved. Generally speaking, younger women find older women. Generally speaking, younger women find older men as gross. I mean, they're old enough to be their dads or even their grandfathers. PUAs give the worst advice. If you want to get advice on how not to get laid, listen to a pickup artist, or what they should really call, what they really should call is a rejection artist. I must thank one of my subs, Big TV 82 for that term. He came up with that. He calls them rejection artists. That's what they are. Not PUA, not pickup artists. They're rejection artists. Because if you listen to what these clowns say, you'll just get nothing but rejection. Yeah, that's correct.
Secretly hoping that you are. Mistake number one, making the age gap a big deal. So if you're talking to younger women and deep down inside you believe that, oh my god, I'm so much older than her, this is a little creepy.
Of course it's bloody creepy. If you're an older man and you're trying to hit on a woman that's young enough to be your daughter or even your granddaughter, of course it's creepy. But I mean, then again, these PUAs, well, PUAs are pretty creepy people, especially Alex playing himself. He's crooked nose and he's fucked up teeth, and yeah, he's pretty creepy. A lot of these PUAs are pretty creepy. But yeah, of course the age gap is creepy. I mean, speaking for myself, I've always had a thing for older women, and about 30 odd years ago I made the decision just to start seeing mature age ladies instead of young ones. Because obviously older women are better in bed and they treat you better. But also even now, I'm 57 years old now, even if I could afford it, I would not pay a young lady the night. It's just creepy, it's awful. And a lot of them refuse to see you anyway. If you go on the websites where the independent bookers or ladies might advertise, a lot of young women just stipulate, I will not see clients over 40 years old or 45, 50 years old. That's fair enough. I can totally respect that. Totally respect that. And even if they were willing to see older men, it's just going to be creepy and awkward. I mean, that's why I put a 10-year limit. If the booker's 10 years, more than 10 years younger than me, no, I don't want to see it. So I love it for older women, because the reason why I don't want to see younger girls is, first they give you a shit service, but only that, it's just creepy. It really is creepy. For this PUA, or Alex playing himself is pushing, it is creepy. It actually is a big deal because it is creepy.
I think of her dad, right? She's going to be able to easily pick up on that through some communications, and then she...
Oh, bullshit. She's going to see that just by looking at you. God, this guy, goose. This guy charges money to give this, to dispense this awful dating advice. As per the 48 Laws of Dating, written by Richard Wallace, never trust a dating company. He's totally right.
He's going to start thinking it's a big deal. So if you want to date a younger woman, you have to, at your core, believe that this is no big deal. Who gives a shit that I'm 30, 20, 15 years older than her, because age is just a number. Also, never defend your age. So a lot of guys get nervous when they ask by younger women how old they are. So they're like, I'm 42, but people say I look younger for my age. Fail, right? Girl asks your age, just answer the question. Be like, yeah, I'm 42. How about you? Easy, right? Simple. That's how you respond to that. Now, if a girl challenges you on your age and she's like, oh, you're a little on the older side, I don't usually date guys that old.
Because they don't. Younger women very rarely date men who are much older. God, in the 57 years that I've been on this earth, I can only recall on 3 occasions where a much younger woman was dating a much older man. I can tell you when, I can remember the years when I witnessed it. The first time was in 1989. I was going for a drive, I was bored one night, I was driving alone in cars, and I was driving through, I can't put an intersection, and lights were red, so I came to a stop. And on the other side of the road, there was an old guy who was driving an immaculate Ferrari 308 GTB. I'm not sure what year it was, I think it's looking for maybe like 70s, early 80s Ferrari, but it was immaculate, spotless. This guy was pretty old, it must have been 60s plus. In the passenger seat was a young, hot-looking woman. Now, what do you think that woman was? Why that woman was in that car? I mean, Ferraris aren't cheap. So that guy must have had a bit of money. So that's, yeah. The other occasion, I used to work for an airline. I used to work for an airline and in the finance area, and one of my colleagues showed me a picture of his wife. This colleague of mine, he would have been, he'd have been in his late 40s, 50s, and his wife, I said, is that your daughter? He goes, that's my wife. She looks young. And the other occasion, there was, here in my state, in New South Wales, here in Australia, there was a big scandal broke out. There was a teacher. This guy would have been in his late 40s, early 50s, and he was dating one of his students. Ended up having a relationship together. Ended up she left school. I don't know if they're still dating or they're married or what happened, but yeah, but that's the only 3 times I've seen witness that. You very rarely see a much older man with a much younger. It happens sometimes. I think one of probably a classic example of that is that there was a lady at the strip, and Nicole Smith. She was dating some old fart, and then eventually died. I mean, he was quite old. And yeah, and there was an extreme gap in age. I think she was in her 20s, he was in his 80s. Yeah, but that's rare. It's exceptionally rare. Unless you're an older Chad, an old giga Chad, yeah, you might have a chance to become with them. But generally speaking, most older guys, young women find it repulsive. So, yeah.
You just treat it like a shit test. Again, a lot of guys are getting defensive, or they try to logically explain why it's better to...
Shit tests don't exist. This is one thing. This one ridiculous PUAs push out. If a woman's giving you a shit test, it's basically her way of telling you to get lost. Women don't shit test men are generally attracted. And think about it logically. If a woman gives a guy what the PUAs call a shit test, the guy, assuming he knows how to read body language and social cues, he's going to take that as, well, this woman doesn't like me, she wants me to go away, so I'll go away. Why would a woman do that to someone she's attracted to? No, these so-called shit tests are just an autistic teaching that the PUAs push out. That's why I call PUA picking up autism, because that's what it teaches you, autism.
an older guy, that's not how you handle it. You just respond with humor. You'd be like, yeah, I know, you're so young, you probably never even had your first sip of beer, right? Responding with some humor, and then she's gonna be like, no, I've had beer, and suddenly you frame the whole conversation into her being too young rather than you being too old. And you can really just frame anything to be good or bad. For example, when I was in my early 20s, I had a MILF phase, where I was going for girls in their late 30s, 40s, and some of those MILFs are just fucking hot. And so a lot of times they would say, you're too young for me, my son is your age, right? And I was really good at reframing that. I'd be like, yeah, look, if you want like an old geezer who needs to take 10 Cialises to get it up, then I don't think I'm your man, you know? I know those, you don't want a young, vigorous guy, you want some old geezer who's probably decrepit and shit, and right, the girl will be like, no, I don't want that, right? And bam, now she's on the back foot. And if you're going...
There's pushing pick-up lines here, they don't work, guys, they don't work. Oh, God.
Going for younger women as an older guy, you can do the same exact thing. You can rephrase it and reframe things. So, for example, you can say something like, yeah, listen, if you want some 18-year-old boy who's some Gen Z faggot who's going to be on his phone all day, then I guess I'm not your man, right? And again, then she's going to be on the back foot, and that's the power of framing. Mistake number 2, playing by the...
The ceaseless surge. Your claws dance. Your fangs sing.
Sorry guys, there's a delay in the stream now. I'll see if I can correct it.
Their flesh is my canvas.
You know.
to do the 3-date rule thing, and you're actually putting yourself at a big disadvantage because the ultimate form of investment for a girl is sex. So if you want to see the girl for a second or third date, the best thing you can do is sleep with her as fast as possible without coming off as pushy or creepy.
She's only going to sleep with you straight away if she finds you really physically attractive. Look, we don't live in a dating culture anymore. I mean, some dating still goes. We live in a culture now, and it's all based on looks and whether a woman finds you physically attractive enough. All this courtship and taking out to dinners and all this crap, all this courtship stuff, it's getting buried now. I mean, look, some dating still does go on, but for the most part, we live in a hookup culture now. If everyone wants to sleep, it's just sleep with you straight away. You know what I mean? You won't have to take out an expensive dinner dates and other crap like that.
Also, another important thing is flaking now is a big thing, right? 20 years ago, you know, when a girl told you she was going to show up Friday at 8 p.m., most likely she was going to show up. Now that's no longer the case, unfortunately. So you have to adjust for that. And there's multiple things you can do here. The first is you can multi-stack dates. So you can set up a date at 6 p.m., set up a date at 8 p.m., set up a date at 10 p.m., right? And then this way, if the 6 p.m. girl flakes, you still have the 8 p.m. girl, right? Or if the 6 p.m. girl shows up, right, you go on the date, and if it's not going well, you just bounce and then you meet up with the 8 p.m. girl and so on, right? Another thing you can do is just very straightforward, is you want to plan, stack the logistics so that you don't wind up wasting time. So what I do is I don't leave my house, because I tell the girl to meet me at a bar nearby, I don't leave my house until the girl texts me that she's on the way. And during that time, I'm just doing work, or I'm doing something fun, or I have other plans, so if she flakes or she doesn't show up, I didn't really waste any time, right? I'm not...
Sorry to pause the video again, but if you want to get multiple dates, obviously those are going to have to find you attractive, and then they're going to have to give you their contact information. Right? You know, I can see what Alex playing with himself is stating here. You know, don't put all eggs in one basket. Well, I suppose, yeah. But in order to go on multiple dates, you have to find women, multiple groups of women who find you attractive. What if you're an unattractive guy? You're not going to get those contact details to begin with. Anyway.
I'm going to meet her halfway. I'm not going to go to a bar near her place, right? Because those are all scenarios where I could very easily waste my time. Mistake number 3, looking old. It doesn't really matter what your actual age is, and that's what it looks like your age is. So obviously some people look a lot older than their age. Like there's guys in their 30s who look like they're in their 40s and 50s, and some of them look like they're in their 20s. You generally want to be the latter, right? And let me show you guys some visual examples to really drive this point home. So take a look at the photo on the left. This is a famous actor named Adam Brody, most notorious for this gay-low TV show called The OC, which for some reason I used to watch when I was in high school, right? And let's take a look at the actor on the right. His name is John Candy, appropriately named. And so guess which one of them is older? If you guessed it was the guy that looks like Hagrid, you are incorrect. Actually, Adam Brody is older. He was 44 when this photo was taken, and John Candy was about 43 when he passed away, so he was probably 42 or 43 when this photo.
Okay, in regards to the late John Candy, may rest in peace, great actor, funny guy, yeah, good actor. He's obviously very overweight as well. I mean, had he lost the weight, he would look much younger. Yeah, look, being overweight is going to make you look older. I won't disagree with that.
Photo was taken, right? But they look so much differently. Like the guy that's younger looks like he's like 20 years older, right? Let's take a look at another example. So this is actor Paul Rudd, which you guys probably know, with an actor called Wilfred Brimley, right? And he was popular back in his day. So guess which one of them is older, right? Guess which one of them is older in this photo specifically? That's what I mean, right? If you guessed it was the guy with the hat, then you're incorrect. Paul Rudd is actually 5 to 7 years older, right, when these photos were taken. But look how much younger he looks. And so the point is that, of course, part of this is genetic, but if you take good care of yourself, you will look younger than your age. So
you've got a point there. I'll give him that, especially with women. A lot of mature age ladies are not than I see. They look much younger than what they actually are. See, one in particular, she's from Thailand. She's gorgeous. She's a stunner. And I was shocked when I found out her age. She's actually in her early 50s. She doesn't look a day over 20. And I'm not exaggerating. No wrinkles, no lines, no crow's feet. She stays out of the sun, a smart woman. Doesn't smoke or drink or take drugs. You know, she's in good shape. But as a man, I'll agree with Alex on that point. Even if you're an older guy, if you take care of yourself, you're in good shape. you look after yourself, you may look a little bit like younger than what you actually are. So that'll agree with him on.
So the question is do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you have a lot of stress in your life? Because that stuff will age you the fuck out. Or do you take good care of yourself? You go to the gym, right? You have a good diet. You take care of your skin. You use products, right? You take care of your hair. You just take care of your overall health in general.
God, these pickup artists. He's trying to pick up a woman in a supermarket or some type of store, but God, these guys are pathetic. Oh God, he's using his husky as well. Yeah, Alex playing himself using his husky game, trying to cold approach women in a supermarket. These guys are pathetic. But I will agree with my other point. Yeah, you need to look after yourself. Absolutely, and stress will age you. Yep, I totally agree with that.
Right, you're active and all that kind of stuff, that's going to play a huge role in how old you look. And that's going to give you a big advantage is if you're a guy who's in his 40s, but you look like you're in your mid-30s. Also, one important thing I want to mention is that I remember when my dad, was divorced from my mom and he was like about 50 years old and he was, a little bit of a player. Like he was getting laid much more than I would expect him to get laid. And so I asked him like, hey, like, why do you think you're hooking up with all these girls that are in their 30s and shit like that? And he said like, honestly, it comes down to the fact that most guys my age look like shit. I'm the only guy at the pool who has a six-pack, right? And that makes me stand out. And also when I drink vodka, I become confident because, I'm Russian, right? And so we did a Tinder experiment actually at one point and where we basically created a profile for my dad. And of course, he wound up getting like 200 likes in 48 hours. And again, that's just because he looks good for his age. And that's what you want to be as well. You want to be looking good for your age, and that's going to be a massive advantage. Mistake number 4, acting old. So the stereotype of older people is they're boring. So you don't want to fit that stereotype. You want to be fun. But it doesn't mean that you should act fun. We all know older guys that act like they're in their 20s and it's ultra cringe. You should actually be a fun, interesting person. In theory, as an older person, you have more financial freedom, and thus you have more room to develop a fun, interesting lifestyle. Also, another big stereotype about older guys is they're very stern, right? And obviously that's not that attractive to women. So you don't want to fit that stereotype. Instead, be fun, be funny, joke around, fuck around, maybe even be a little goofy, right?
Just a maxing. Yeah, look, having a good sense of humour, being a fun person to be around are attractive attributes, but if you've got a just a max to try and attract a woman, it's a wrap, it's over.
But break that stereotype. And the point of this is this, right? I'm not saying that older people should pretend to be something they're not, because again, that's going to be very apparent to the girl, and it's going to come off very try-hard. Instead, actually...
Yeah, T's guilty of that Rollo Tomasi, or what do we call him in the BP community? Grandma Tomasi, or Guido Tomasi. If you ever look at him, I think he's younger than me. I think he was born in 69, so that would make him 56, and he dresses like a 20-year-old. He still thinks he's a 20-year-old wannabe rock star. The guy's got to act his age and wake up to himself.
Actually become that person. Be someone who's more lighthearted. Be someone who's funnier, who's more fun, who lives an interesting lifestyle, right? Something that's, has something going for him, where he doesn't seem like the only thing he has in his life is doing his taxes and going to bed at 8 p.m. Mistake number 5, and this one is extremely common. It's called leading with your wallet. And a lot of older guys do this because they're insecure about their age, they're insecure about the value they offer, so they think, okay, I can draw the girl in with financial things like gifts.
That's a mistake a lot of guys make, even younger guys. That's basically what Alex playing with himself is describing there as a simp. And I don't think you can save a lot of these guys, you really can't. I mean, some of these simps have been burnt in previous marriages, and they still don't learn their lesson. I'll give you a classic example. I have a close friend of mine. He has an uncle who's on his 3rd marriage. First 2 marriages, his ex-wives took 70% of his assets. Yeah, let that sink in, 70%. We're talking multi-million-dollar houses, Mercedes-Benz cars, real estate, you name it, and plus all the other money he was spent on these ladies, taking them for overseas holidays, dinners, buying them expensive stuff. I mean, he had 2 sons, and he put them in one of the most expensive private schools here in Sydney. So yeah, he blew a lot of money on women. I say to my friend, I said, look, your uncle, he was better off either not getting married or not getting remarried after the first time. Just pay for play. It would have worked out cheaper in the end. But a lot of guys make that mistake. They lead with their wallet, and a lot of the passport bros, or Western guys, are guilty of that as well. They go over to some third world country, they flash the cash. Look, at the end of the day, women, regardless of where they come from in the world, or regardless of what part of the world they come from, are women. And what are the 2 things that attract women? Well, obviously, for genuine desire, it's looks and money. And looks and money, or both, or a combination of both, preferably both. You get a lot of these old Western guys, these old farts. They go over to Southeast Asia or South America or Europe or wherever, leading with their wallet. Don't do it, guys. If you do stuff like that, all you're doing is you're putting a big target on your back for gold diggers, users, and thieves. And look what's happened to look what happens to a lot of guys who go to South America. Unfortunately, there's been some very tragic cases where some Western men have gone to Colombia, they flashed the cash, and they got kidnapped, and in some cases unalived or deleted, if you know what I mean. Be careful what I say here because of YouTube, but you know what I'm getting at. So yeah, don't live with your wallet, guys. And that's a mistake that some older guys do. They see a young, attractive woman, and they try and buy that woman's love. You can't buy a woman's love just like that old Beatles song. Money can't buy your love. Well, it can't. You cannot buy genuine attraction. Yeah, you can buy you a gold digger or late at the night, but it's not going to buy you genuine attraction.
And trips and all of that. That's a very bad strategy because then you essentially become her sugar daddy where, she might even sleep with you, right, after making you jump through a million hoops, but as soon as a better sugar daddy comes along, she's just going to dump your ass like that, right? So don't be that guy who leads with your wallet. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot use your money to attract girls. It has to be...
But then how are you attracting girls? If you need money to attract women, then you might as well pay for play because at least with a lady tonight, you know where you stand. She's not attracted to you. There's no emotional connection between you and that particular lady tonight. But you know that's known up front, right? She's there to provide you a social. She's not there to be your wife or your girlfriend, right? She's there for 2 reasons: to give you to relieve your sexual frustration, and to give you some short-term comfort. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. That's not the hooker's job. once again, she's there to give you sexual relief, to relieve your sexual frustration, and to give you some short-term companionship. And that's known up front. Actually, the other day I saw one of my favourite trades late at night, and she was telling me about a client of hers, a married guy, the usual guy that pays for play. And this guy's falling in love with her. And the hooker's told, look, she's told this guy, look, I'm not in love with you. No, I like you as a client, but I'm not falling in love with this guy. He's a simp. And I said to this lady, and I said, this guy's no self-awareness. Doesn't he know that when he pays a lady, when he goes to a brothel, he's not going there to look for his wife or his girlfriend. And that's not the hooker's job. And she said, she agreed with me. And I said to this lady, no, this guy's a simp. He has no self-awareness. Look, I mean, as much as I've been going to escorts for the last 37 years, since May of 1988. I'm not stupid. I don't go there looking for my wife or future girlfriend. Absolutely not. That's not the hooker's job. Right? But it doesn't mean you can't get along with them. I get along famously with the ladies that I see. But I know they're not attracted to them. That's fair enough. They're just doing a job. But as a man, if you've got to use money to supposedly attract women, and I use the word attract very loosely here, you're better off paying the guy. You really are. No, don't do it, guys. I mean, even if you do manage to make a lot of money or you win the lottery, good luck. Don't use it as a flex to attract women because you're putting a big target on your back. But unfortunately, simps, they just never learn their lesson. And you can't, I think a lot of these guys you can't save. Some of them you can save. But with simps, they're their own worst enemy. They really are.
Do not guard them.
Done in an indirect way. You do that by upgrading your lifestyle. So for example, get yourself an apartment, a really nice place, right in the center of the city, right, where you're just constantly going to be around.
Yeah, how many people have got that kind of money? I mean, that apartment must be worth millions. And once again, if you, as an older guy, or regardless what your age, but even as an older guy, if you've got to use money as a flex to supposedly attract women, just pay for play. At least you know where you stand with the woman. And it's going to work out cheaper in the end, because even as an older guy, if he ends up marrying a young, attractive woman, and they get divorced, he's going to get cleaned out in divorce court. So it's actually cheaper for that older guy to pay for play. Yeah.
A lot of women, or for example, join, like Equinox or like a really nice gym where you're gonna have access to hot girls, right? Develop connections with yeah,
do you think a hot Stacey like that's gonna go for some old fart, ugly old fart? And even if he's got money, it's not a genuine relationship. That old guy's just better off paying for play. It'll work out cheaper.
Club promoters and stuff like that.
Slanesh hallows your essence.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the RSA's Coming. Today, we are talking about Dechala, the Denied One, the new Slanesh legendary lord and faction coming with Tides of Torment here shortly. This is going to be my campaign showcase. I've played many campaigns as Dechala across several different tester builds, and I can confidently say that she plays completely different than any other faction in this game. And I'll put it to you like this. She has 3 different resources, 3 different settlement types. And I'm going to jump into everything that she can do here in this video. She starts out about right here in this 4-settlement province just at the south of Cathay. Think Belsar Gelt over here, and Nakai starts like right in there type thing, right above Ending Crush, right? They haven't turned on right quite yet. And you also start out at war with some minor greenskins that you have to wipe out, and you have several sea lanes accessibility that allows you to export a fair amount of war. You guys know me, I love campaigns where we can export war with impunity. It's the American in me. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. We love exporting war. So we have 3 different settlement types. The Thrall Camp, the Tormentor Hold, and the Pleasure Palace. We're going to start out with the Thrall Camp, and this is where we get Thralls, among other places, but Thralls. Each of the settlements that are of the type Thrall Camp has a number here, and you can also see it on screen here. That is your regional Thrall population. Your goal with these settlement types is to take that Thrall population and convert it into the other resources. So you want to take these Thralls, and you want to turn them into your global Thrall population or money. And you do that with your different building types. So this will start out at a number when you occupy it, and then it will degrade over time. So if we get in here and look at what's going on inside of a Thrall camp, 3 different tiers. We have a defensive building that also does control. This building is the same thing that it always does. This one increases the rate at which you burn through those Thralls by converting them into global population. This one slows it down by decreasing the cost of those, as well as providing growth and casualty replenishment. And then this one increases the rate of burning through those Thralls, but it converts them to money. If we hop over to our, well, I will say, think about this as purely economic. So if we were to go over to this settlement, or this province down here, it has 3 Tormentor Holds in it. And I cannot recruit in this province. You need one of the other settlement types to be able to gain access to military units as Dechala. And there are reasons that you would do something like this. For instance, these resources can only be accessed from a Thrall camp. Moving on to the Tormentor Hold. This is your military recruitment building, but I would, or settlement, but I would also say that this is, think basic military. So if we hop in here, we have a port, three tiers, just like every other minor settlement. Basic cavalry, basic infantry, semi-advanced infantry. So like this is where you're gonna get your exalted demonettes at, for instance. We also have defensive structures here that increase the output of those thrall camps that we talked about earlier. Same building does the same thing in both settlement types. This one does your increase of your income from buildings from your pleasure palaces. So ideally, you want big provinces with a lot of those buildings in them to maximize your pleasure palaces, that we'll get to here in a second. And then this one increases the global bonuses of all of your armies. So think like Khorne and their settlements, what they do with some of their global bonus buildings. Small global bonuses built by a structure that stack. And then from here, we go to pleasure palaces, and this is your hubs. These are your big baddies. These are your most important settlements, and you have a finite number of build slots. You cannot build all of these buildings in a single pleasure palace. You're gonna need multiple of them to gain access to them. And this is where you're gonna get most of your heroes. This is where you're gonna get your advanced military. There is some good income in here. I will say that, 1,200 off of that building, and then there's another one that does 400 there. So there's a lot going on in these pleasure palaces, and you build pleasure palaces, you build all the rest of the stuff in those other settlements with cash. You build everything in pleasure palaces with thralls. So you must have thralls to spend to be able to build these buildings. In order to build a new pleasure palace, you must reach tier 3 on your previous pleasure palace, and you start with the capacity to build 1 pleasure palace. And you can see that up here, denoted, we have currently available to construct 1 pleasure palace. We still have the pleasurable axe in all of our provinces, so that still exists. We still have the proliferate cults capacity, but you are going to be using a fair amount of these for these buildings, so you're going to be doing this less than you would be in other Slaanesh campaigns. The other thing that the Pleasure Palace does for you is build Decadence. So that's where you get your Decadence from. If you go back in here and look, all these buildings, this one I don't think does, it does 30 Decadence, but all the rest of these, well, not this one down here, it maxes out at 12, but all the ones that go up to tier 5 max out at 15 Decadence, and 4, I think, across the board is 12. Yeah, you see how that all works? So you are producing your third resource from this. Well, what do you use that third resource for? We kind of implicitly understand what we use the thralls for, outside of that needing it to be explained for the Pleasure Palace buildings, but thralls are used for this and various other Slaanesh-related stuff. Well, if we go into our Tormentor's Tributes, this is where you use Decadence. So Decadence can be used 3 different ways in this campaign. Think of these ones over here, the Marks of Vindictiveness. Think of these as banners that you can add before battle. So you purchase this, you can upgrade this to 3 different tiers, and this is something that you add to a unit or a character pre-battle. And this is an enhancement. So like, let's see, if I click on this one, you can see what some of these do, for instance. I'll give you a couple of them. Yeah, well, we'll go through all of them, right?
Ray Raj is facing nepotism accusations after recently
Marks of
attending the
Vindictiveness.
Grammys, where she also received praise
Resplendent
for her appearance.
offerings.
However,
Excuse me.
some critics
Think of
claim
these
she is benefiting from her
as
sister's
like
fame
enchanted
and
items.
pointed out that she seems to be
character
everywhere
experience
her sister
gain,
is. Others questioned her presence,
unit
asking why
experience,
she was there despite not having a hit song.
immune to
while some
diplomatic
threw
penalties and
unnecessary
trespassing,
hate at
campaign
her,
movement
sparking
range,
mixed reactions online.
that sort of stuff.
Ray Raj
right?
is facing
So these are
nepotism
not as expensive, 50 and
accusations
250 to upgrade. These are 500. And then down here we have some like global stuff. Like the first one that I usually get is this one, and it increases across the board income from all buildings 15%. It's going to cost you 1,000 Decadence to get that. So you can see how you're going to use your Decadence throughout the campaign. This panel right here is how that is used.
Let me tell you what I understand racism to be.
Something real quick that I wanted to mention, if you occupy a settlement as a thrall camp, it can be converted to either a Tormentor Hold or a Pleasure Palace down the road. They do not go the opposite direction. Continuing with the trend of the Mortal Chaos Legendary Lords and the Monogod factions, Dechala does not have access to Unholy Manifestations. Think Tamarkon, Arbal the Undefeated, they don't have access to Unholy Manifestations. She doesn't either. But she does have access to the Cult Mechanic, so there is that. And she has some of her own unique mechanics as far as like movement and stuff like that is concerned. So we go to her army. We have the Boons of Slaanesh. This one for 125 thralls, character experience gain, unit experience gain, 225 ambush success chance plus 50% stock for the army. And then this one, 350 armor piercing weapons damage plus 4 Lord's Army, passive ability Wayfarer for the Lord's Army. So there are the Boons of Slaanesh. And as far as her battle mechanic is concerned, it's a little bit different than what you're used to. Usually when you go to a Slaaneshi Lord, you're talking about seducing units. Well, if we hop in here, we don't actually seduce units, we corrupt units. So instead of taking these units over to my army, and then like when I'm done with them, they go back to this army, it's just a debuff. So if we were to click on, say, this Feral Stegodon, for instance, if I were to corrupt this unit, Its melee defense would go down by 20. Its missile strength would go down by 25. Speed would go down by 25%. Weapon strength minus 25%. Leadership minus 33%. And melee attack minus 20%. So it cripples that unit. And also, what I would say is if you compare it to like the cost of seducing units, it is considerably cheaper to seduce or to corrupt a unit than it is to seduce a unit. So usually, especially in the early stages of the campaign with like Nakari or the Mask, you're talking about seducing maybe 3 or 4 trash tier units, or maybe 1 good unit you might be able to afford. But for the most part, you're talking about chaff units. Yeah, I can debuff. I have the money to debuff the Stegodon, the Croxagore. All these are 400, so I would probably do the Feral Cold ones. Or no, those are Cold One Riders, excuse me. And maybe this, you know what, probably the Saurus with the shields, probably. And you could debuff all those units for 2,000. If I was talking about corrupting those units, which would absolutely take them out of the army, then that's like 6,000 or 7,000 favor to be able to do that. So yeah, definitely cheaper to do this, but you also don't get the use of those units. You're just simply crippling those units.
Wanton abandon.
One of the other things that I was unable to get unlocked for this video because the build changed between when I started filming this video and or started working on this video and when I was actually able to do the actual record is she has this demonic attraction. Think not regiments of renown, but think like state troops for the Empire, for instance. You click on this and you get this by researching all this demonic attraction. So you have to get all these tiles and then you can do demonic attraction, and it allows demonic attraction recruitment. And so if you look in here, for instance, you got some exalted demonettes, exalted seeker chariots, heart seekers, pleasure seekers. So these are instant recruit demonic units that you have access to. Limited pool, obviously, but yeah, I mean, being able to just recruit 4 heart seekers or pleasure seekers, 4 heart seekers, massive battle power.
Dechala! The sweep of blood! My pleasure! Slanesh, hear my call!
And then lastly, I have 2 more things that I want to show you. First is the legendary hero, Steercar. You get him basically by performing an agent action and then killing so many enemies in combat. But if we go into his skill tree, you can see he is here for the purposes of buffing your Marauder. So this reduces the upkeep of Marauder units. And then across the board here, he kind of does stuff to make you want to use more of them. He also has a campaign movement range somewhere in here. Campaign movement range right there. So he is a melee combatant. He also has an explosive ability, but think of him as, hey, how can we get a second army up and running and make it cost effective? That's what he's there to do for the most part. And then I want to go into Dekhala's skill tree herself. We did a battle showcase so you could see, but one of the things that I did not expressly state that you probably could have figured out is that she could actually hold 2 weapons. So you can put any 2 weapons that you want in there, and she also gets a talisman and an enchanted item as well as armor. She's not a caster, but you can kit her out with 2 different weapon effects if you want to. She does have 1 quest item. I find this quest item to be, I mean, get it. The battle is kind of cool, but as far as the item itself, control's good, casualty from post-battle loop, cool. The rest of the effects and the actual active effect, it's cool to be able to terror route units that aren't usually able to do that, but when you play on Legendary like I do, you're still doing very little of this. And then her individual skills. If you look in here, standard red line, standard blue line, standard yellow line, but her personal line. We have campaign movement range / corruption wayfarer. We have enables poison attacks and enables eroding poison attacks for Marauder type units and Hellstriders, excuse me, and chariot units. And then arm piercing weapon damage. Dagger Dance, this is one of her mutually exclusives. I did a battle showcase on her. She starts out with 2 mutually exclusive battle powers. This one adds a 3rd. It also adds melee defense and unyielding assault. Attribute immune to contact effects for those units again. Melee defense, melee attack. You guys get the picture. We're going to skip this one for a second. We're going to go over this one. Casualties captured post-battle, upkeep for non-demonic units, enemy leadership, and passive ability rage for all non-demonic units. And this one, vigor loss reduction, charge bonus 25, and whirlwind of pleasure, which is her special attack. Basically, think vortex attack that centers on her, can't move while she's using it, only lasts a couple seconds, but it will completely chew a unit of infantry down to nothing. And then she has a couple more ones up here for, this one's for Champions of Slanesh, and this one, 360 missile block chance. And the rest of her line looks pretty standard out that way, as you would expect for a Slaneshi Lord. Anyway, this video has run long enough. If you would like to see a strategery video for Dechala, the Denied One, I've done basically every permutation that exists, and I will make that video to make this one popular. Thanks for tuning into the Art of Saves Coming. Hopefully we'll see another one here pretty soon.
I seek my lord's regard. A killing thirst!
servant of darkness. The blade surges!
A capricious decision. Dies hasut. Is the conclave esorak us. Hasut. Mate. The
Sing the songs of death!
Electric. Eat zucchini. How do I use it? How do I say what I googled it. I literally went on Google. Yeah, I googled the other day like, you know, I'm a little geriatric. Eat zucchini. How do I use it? How do I say what I googled it. I literally went on Google. Yeah, I googled the other day like, you know, I'm a little geriatric. Eat zucchini. How do I use it? How do I say what I
Werewolves and dance of the witch, for pushing on ghouls and a scary first kiss. And now for the morning announcements. With the werewolves and dance of the witch, for pushing on ghouls and a scary first kiss.
freedom is power. What I want, I must. With malice. I yearn for it. A dreadful, delicate death. Mine, all mine. The denied one. Dark Prince's delight.
I will not forsake my ancestors.
Only the best. Servant of desire. We await our moment.
Do I please you? Every step, agony. No, I must decline.
Special resistance plus 25. That's so good. Plus physical resistance.
Exalted hero of Slanesh. Exalted hero of Slanesh.
K-pop idols who dance the worst. Jisoo got mocked for her dancing, with many saying her body is too stiff, and that even when she Annie was heavily mocked for her dancing, with many saying she looks goofy, laughable she trained. Hyeon also got hate for her dancing, with people saying she either
Take a picture.
Yeah, come get me something I can feel.
No.
Yeah, come get me something I can.
Hey guys, it's Cadell.
And Mia.
We are so excited to show you our new house.
Come along for an empty house tour.
Let's go.
This is our entrance space.
Yeah, come get me something I can feel.
No.
Alrighty, we're back with some more Slaanesh. Probably the last one of these, because now we're just going to cover the heroes of Slaanesh. Now they have 5 types of hero. You can see them all here. We're going to cover them all a little bit. The ones we're going to look at most are going to be the Anointed and the Chaos Sorcerer. I think they are by far the most powerful. They're very, very, very strong. Let's take a look in here. You start off with one of these. You start off with a Druchii Anointed when you play as the Tormentors. All of your heroes are going to be recruited, as usual, through settlements. Where do they come from? If you look in the settlement itself, you can get your cultists here, then you've got your Illurises here, you've got your Exalted Heroes and Druchii Anointed in there, and then you've got your Chaos Sorcerers in here. Early on, I grabbed this guy and some of these guys, and that's what I've been running with mostly. It takes a while to get to the 3rd level to get any more of these units, so they're lagging behind a little bit. But you can see here that as you go up these trees, you increase the hero capacity for most of your heroes. There is a lot of tech in here. You can see most of these, here we go, are tied to one hero type or another. Hero capacity and recruit rank will all come from here. So as of now, even in this campaign, I'm getting level 20 heroes when I recruit them, which is pretty astonishing. I'm only 51 turns in. There's a lovely little bug you can see here where the icon is far above the head of the hero. I'm not sure what's causing that. But as we said, our Druchii Anointed was our first hero that we got. This is a combination of a fighting and spellcasting hero. They're really, really strong. They have the replenishment. They have a good combat line here. And then they have a number of choices. This one here opens up the choices, and then you have a choice of bound spells as you go up through here. I went with the Slaaneshi Lash. This is bound. I think you get to 3 of those. You can get an additional one. You start with 2. You can get an additional one from Tech Tree or from here, is it? Yeah, there it is. So I went with the Lash of Slaanesh. It's relatively weak, but it's quick. This one I took Word of Pain. That's a inflicts accuracy and melee attack reduction on enemies nearby. And then here I actually had her take Soul Stealer, which regenerates before realizing kind of they don't really need any regeneration. They're very, very strong in combat. And this spell here, we're going to talk about it in a little while, is just insanely powerful. So I'm not a big fan of Chillwind or Hysterical Frenzy. That's a buff spell. You choose between one of these. I'm not really interested in evasion or stalk or ambush defense chance. I went for this one, which is ward save and frenzy. Ward save, much more useful, I think, in combat. And then in the next set, I went for this one as Guardian to the Accompanying Lord. You can go for this one here or this one here. I'm not really going to use these guys as agents, but this is an extremely strong combatant. She's been with me since the very beginning. You can go for this one here or this one here. Save and frenzy. Ward save, much more useful, I think, in combat. And then you choose between one of these. I'm not.
Still doing 5 defense with 19 everything.
Really interested in evasion or stalk or ambush defense chance. I went for this one, which is ward save and frenzy. Ward save, much more useful, I think, in combat. And then in the next set, I went for this one as Guardian to the Accompanying Lord. You can go for this one here or this one here. I'm not really going to use these guys as agents, but this is an extremely strong combatant. She's been with me since the very beginning. You can see the stat lines are just, they're pretty darn strong. This one here, enemy leadership, she was aggressive. It's just a standard starting trait. She is, what is she? She's level 32. Once I recruit now, we're going to be level 20. Most of these should be pretty high level by now. Yeah, they are. So you start with that Druchii Anointed. Now the next 2 you're likely to get, once you get your first Pleasure Palace up and running, you can plonk this down and start recruiting Cultists of Slaanesh. You can see you get one here. At this level here, you increase your capacity. I think in the Tech Tree, let's have a look. Oh, helps to spell things correctly. Here we go. So Cultist Hero Capacity for Cultists of Slaanesh. And then here, a couple of buffs. So I think this is just laying down cults. Yeah. So you can increase your number of Cultists of Slaanesh by getting this building up, which I have up in a couple of places. They are the mainstay hero of my army currently. They do a lot of work. Where is she gone? Which is the highest level one we have? 31, 30. Yeah, let's just go take a look at this one. So this is yet another combatant. It's the mobility. It's playing combat. This here, summon a disciple army size in the hero's region. That's for an army ability per combat. And I have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 cultists in here. So that's up to 16 summon unit. Also demonic. I got them because they were available. They're best on demonic to get, at least in the Tormentors, the gateway here are these fellas here. So the Exalted Heroes of Slaanesh, they're only level 15. These are pure and only combatants. Again, they're on a demonic steed. There's nothing particularly brilliant about anything down here. You get some choices. Your top choice line here increases their ability versus infantry, increases their buff on anybody that's standing nearby. But then this is the one you go for, right? You want that training to be increased, and you want the casualty replenishment rate. The training rate for this army, 75% hero experience gain for this army, which is, I mean, this is why these guys are ridiculous levels already. What else? We have this second choice line, Soul Scent, right? That's going to be a buff to anybody nearby. Sinful Demeanor, that's a speed buff. I took this one here because we wanted the corruption, and I wanted melee attack reduction on anybody we were fighting. Again, great stat lines. They've got shields, they've got steeds. The entire hero set for these guys is very strong. You could quite easily get by just with a couple of hero armies. I'm trying to link up my armies with Dechala, but she's running around so quickly nobody can catch up to her. But the 5 hero types, very easy to buff them, very easy to get their levels up through just what's available here, right? Hero capacity 2 for cultists. This one here, hero capacity +2 for all heroes, and Lord and Hero recruit rank there. And then look at that, Lord and Hero recruit rank +10 for this building. So this Lords and Agents is getting 10 buff levels to everybody to start with. Over here, we've got Chaos Sorcerer with capacity. This one here, these are not heroes.
Here we would get hero capacity for Truki Anointed and Exalted heroes. And then here, hero capacity for Alluruses. Lots of heroes, lots of benefits, lots of power. Probably the strongest heroes in the game as a group, I want to say, but I haven't really looked at what's been done to the High Elf heroes with this latest patch.
Sweet decadence. I do as I will. Every fantasy made flesh. Power in perversion, strength in excess.
Truki Anointed.
I serve the Dark Prince. Steer card.
A true acolyte.
Revel in your deepest desires.
Sensations without limits.
Yeah, shoot.
talking about this, I would do this. So put all the shit away.